All right, y'all. Today we are chatting with Lisa Lampanelli. She is a comedian through and through. And because of that, I felt a pressure to be funny in this intro. So I decided, you know what? Steer clear of the comedy, Elbi. And instead, I think I decided I'd do a piece from one of her favorite musicals, Hamilton. Legacy. What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see. I think I thought that would be better than, doing something funny. Anyway, because you just shouldn't try to be funny. Anyway, so, so stupid, Lisa. I mean, we talked about cheap humor, but I hope you didn't think that was too cheap. Okay. Lisa Lampanelli. Lisa Lampanelli is an insult comic, okay? But she's more than just that. She had multiple specials on two-time Grammy nominee, HBO special. I mean, she is just remarkable because what is really special about her is that her career in the 2000s especially was like super roast based. She was doing so many roasts, which were at their own peak back then. And to name a few, she did the roast, her debut. That sounds like a good coffee name though. Debut. I'll have the debut. Her debut doing roast was the roast of Chevy Chase in 2002. She also did the roast of Gene Simmons, Pamela Anderson, Jeff Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy. Go on, Flavor Flav. Okay, William Shatner. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people she's roasted. And to top it off, she did the roast of the current president of the United States, the roast of Donald Trump. Okay, and you can find a bunch of those clips on YouTube, which are just fascinating and hysterical and so interesting because what you notice about Lisa, and I made sure to mention this to her, is that her humor wasn't ever cheap. Unlike mine. Her humor was always based in some honesty in a way that was like honesty in the sense of being truthful to her and who she is and what she found funny. So I really appreciated that because you sometimes you watch roast and you go, what is going on here? And I thought it was so fitting that we have her just in time for the roast of Kevin Hart that just aired this weekend. But anyway, she's a really special because she dabbles in. Because as of 2018, she retired from doing stand-up comedy and has instead dabbled in some other things that she's interested in, like teaching at Norwalk Conservatory, which she's been teaching for the last couple of years. And on top of it, she's also now currently, which is what we're here to chat about, the associate producer of the show, The People Versus Lenny Bruce, which is happening off Broadway right now at Theater Row, which is really exciting. It just started previews and they open in the coming days, and they'll be running into the summer. So go get your tickets now because it's a show. We get to talking about it because it's a time. It discusses a time. Geez, Elbi. It discusses a time where Lenny Bruce was on trial for things that he said and dives deep into free speech in a way that I think is super interesting. And so anyway, we felt really lucky to have Lisa in here. You may have heard her name when Claiborne Elder walked in the building because Claiborne talked about how she helped him, and I think build his nightclub show. And she mentioned that is something that is of interest to her, is helping people find their comedy, find who they are as a comic. And it's fascinating. And she was such a thrill to have in here because when you find her career and you look her up, she was also in the movie Drill Bit Taylor starring Owen Wilson and Josh Peck and a bunch of other people that is just like, you're like, what the heck? I did not realize they were in there. But yeah, she's so wonderful, Lisa. And she wrote a play off Broadway for you theater goers who are listening to the episode. She wrote a play that you may have seen called Stuffed, which also starred Ann Harada, and that was around 10 years ago. And she discusses the potential of maybe what the future of that might hold, because there's a production happening right now elsewhere. So she's just a positive presence and an icon in the world of roast comedy. I mentioned that she decided to retire from comedy, but she's really focused on doing good, which is pretty special. And she's a special person. I'm so lucky we got the chance to chat and laugh with her. If you're ready to laugh, get ready for this episode because it was just a joy. And we get to talking about her about all those things. And go get tickets to see The People Versus Lenny Bruce. So without further ado, let's get right, which is happening at Theater Row. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but I mentioned that in the podcast. Let's cut to the chase, LB. Cut to the chase. This is Lisa Lampanelli's I Want to Be Like You. 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 Welcome to another episode of I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes, introducing Lisa Lampanelli.
Elbi!
It's so funny, like, in doing research for you, I was like, wait a minute. She was in Drill Bit Taylor?
Yes, she was! And I made them name the character after me so I could get more famous. I literally am always trying to, well, in the old days, I was always figuring out a way to, like, get more known. Right. So I was like, well, can Owen Wilson call me my real name? Yes, he can.
That's so cool. And I found this out because I'm the biggest Drake and Josh fan. Like, I grew up on Drake and Josh. Of course, I grew up on Drake and Josh. So I watched Drill Bit Taylor because of Josh.
Like, and he played my son.
And I was, right. And I was a kid. I was like, and it was only after the fact that my mom was like, you know, this movie might be a little too inappropriate for your age at the moment.
Correct.
But it still lives right here. And that was also the movie that made me go like Owen Wilson, like associating him with Night at the Museum. And it's like, I know that movie very vividly, even though I know it's like a cult classic
It
kind
is,
of thing.
and it's what I always laugh about is I was in the least successful Judd Apatow film of all time. It's like my life is always I'm in the least successful till now. I'm on your fabulous podcast. Yes. And by the way, I kind of want to brag about being your oldest guest ever. But Jeffrey Sellers might beat me out.
I know there's some other. We've had who would you say? Probably Leroy. Yeah, Leroy Ream's 83 years old.
Damn it!
So he's got you.
I'll be back in 20 years.
Yeah. Right. So we start the podcast with the same question every time. Ooh. And it is, who was your I Want to Be Like You when you were a kid?
Oh, when I was a kid. Well, I was raised Catholic, went to Catholic school, so my mother contends I wanted to be a nun. And I do remember, and I obviously went the opposite.
Sure.
But my mom used to take us to this convent near where we lived to visit the sisters. And I think I saw how peaceful they were. And honestly, I'm not even going to lie to you. The idea of living in a big mansion-y type place with a bunch of women, just kind of having fun.
Right.
Praying, maybe? Sounds kind of cool. So maybe I want to be like the nuns.
Yeah, right. You know, it's funny. Like we went on Staten Island where we're from. It's like there was a lot of all girls schools and all boys schools for high school. And so I did a lot of shows at the all girls Catholic schools because they needed boys to be in their shows. And so we developed relationships with like the nuns who worked there and whatnot. They're having a good time.
There are some cool nuns, by the way. They're not all stiffs.
No.
And I was like, all right. Sadly, they turned that convent now into like a big mansion that somebody owns. And they live in it. And I'm like, why not me?
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. Stole the mansion from the nuns. That's terrible. So you're from Trumbull, Connecticut?
Yes,
is that right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what your relationship was with show business as a kid. Were you the kid who was, begging your parents to go to the movies and watching, comedians yourself? Or
no, I literally had no relationship with media, TV, anything other than what far back as I can remember. The only comedy memories I have were the Dean Martin roasts on NBC. And these were like obviously in the 60s and 70s before Comedy Central lived, you know. So I would watch those with my parents and they were so funny. And Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis, Don Rickles, all those icons.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, they all look like friends. I bet they're friends. That looks fun.
Right.
So that's when I was doing comedy. I was like, oh, I want to be like them. Yeah. But then, of course, turns out none of them were friends. Everybody and I figured out, oh yeah, we don't all love each other on the roast. Right. We just have to pretend to so you can make the joke. So
were
it was
those
kind of
the first was that the origin of the roast?
No, the Friars Club, which in the I think 20s and 30s, that's when it all started.
Oh, is that right?
And then it evolved the Dean Martin roast, and then we did the Comedy Central ones, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So it's funny, like, because if you go back and watch, I've watched a lot of those Rickles clips. I just love John Rickles. He's just one of the greatest to have ever done the thing. There was a time, I would say maybe 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, me and my brother would literally just sit and watch clips and clips of him on honestly, it's almost as if he gets funnier as he gets older.
Correct.
Because him, when he's like, even him, like in his late 70s, early 80s on Jimmy Fallon, he is so sharp.
Well, it's also that you get not only more confident, you care less, you answer only to yourself. And also, he was very off the cuff, and I was like that too.
Yeah.
He really didn't prepare much. And I think
Didn't
as you
seem
get
like
older, you're just more confident to go, I'm fine.
Right.
I don't have anything to prove. And that's really beautiful.
And it's funny. What's really interesting about it is, and I wonder as a comedian if you could speak to this, is like he knew his hits. So I think, you know, coming up, there was obviously no YouTube, so you can squeeze in the same joke that you did on Carson a year later on you know, another late night show, or you know, vice versa. And it's funny because they work every time.
Well, Rickles was famous for, he only put out one comedy album called Hello Dummy. And at the Friars Club, when I used to hang out there when it existed, the old less successful comedians of his age would be like, oh, he does the same thing every time, and like mad. And I'd be like, in my head, I'd be going, it works.
It does work.
And you know, you can't argue with that kind of legend.
Right.
I just go, he's a legend for a reason. And also, he doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. Why
and it
judge?
hits, and it's as if it's new. You know, if you watch one of my favorite bits is whenever someone asks him enough questions, Elena would ask him or whatever, and he'd be like, how does the phrasing go? He would just look at him and go, what are you, a detective?
Yeah.
And that is one of my, and if you watch enough of the clips, you'll see him do it a couple times, and it's funny every freaking time.
And also, they don't realize the people who have these critiques of people.
Yeah.
Your audience likes it. If your audience doesn't like it, it's fine. They can go see someone else. So my whole thing was always like, well, you know, I'll get email. Back in the day, it was letters, but emails also from like groups of people. We're sitting here, this seat and that seat, make fun of us, say this, say that.
Right.
So they want to be called out, and they want you to do call me this or that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. It resonates enough that they want you to do it again and again.
Right.
The greatest hit stuff, it works.
Did you ever meet him?
Yes, twice. The Friars Club set me up to meet him once in Atlantic City, and he gave me advice that I pretended I was going to take but didn't, which I'm glad I didn't, because I've always had a dirty mouth.
Okay.
Like, I always cursed. I think it's so much fun. My mother always did. But he goes, let me tell you something. You do kind of the thing like I do. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, make fun of them, but try it. Don't use bad language, because you'll work anywhere. And I'm thinking, I'm going to say yes. What do I want to work a bar mitzvah? Absolutely not.
Right.
So I always knew if I wasn't going to be using my sort of language, I wouldn't be being me.
Yeah.
And also, I was very flattered. The next time I met him, I was at his book signing. I just went because I was like, oh my God, I have to have him sign his book.
Yeah.
He remembered me. And I got to tell you, for an 80-something-year-old guy, he goes, hey, it's you. I just was so like warm. And when he passed away, the New York Times had me write his obituary.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize
that. That's like literally so flattering.
Yeah.
Because I was a journalist before I was a comic.
Right.
So I was like, all right, it meant something to me to be thought of in that way.
Yeah. Insane. And also, for the record, for those who don't know, if you don't know Don Rickles, go look him up.
Yeah,
but
please.
also, Mr. Potato Head. He's Mr. Potato Head. You know what I mean? Like, to me as a kid, when I was looking him up and then I sighed, I was like, oh my gosh, you know? And anyway, a lot of love for Don Rickles.
Yes.
But to your point about journalism, you went to Boston College for journalism. Is that right?
I went to BC, hated it because it was all just back then, it seemed to be all just white Catholics like me. And I was like, I am so bored.
Sure.
So I transferred to Syracuse.
Gotcha.
And I went for newspaper journalism, did that at sort of a high-ish level, Spy Magazine, Rolling Stone, etc. But at 30, I was like, yeah, I'm never going to be great at this.
Sure.
I'm going to be fine.
Right.
I'll work.
Right.
But what's the thing? What's the thing that I sort of have stirring in there? I said, let me take a comedy class. If I stink, I'll do one open mic. It doesn't matter as long as I try.
Yeah.
And thank God it went well the first time. I didn't bomb till my fifth, but you always are going to bomb someday.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think this is meant to be. And I just followed the path. It kept getting better every year.
Right.
You know, I had a friend when I was doing this a long time, maybe 12 years. He said, as long as you think back a year ago and you're in a better place, either emotionally or career-wise, then you're fine.
Right.
Keep going. So it was pretty cool, pretty good career for 30 years.
What made you interested in journalism? Like, why did you decide to take that up?
I think I just liked this is terrible, interviewing famous people, because I love famous people. I still do. Like, I don't like be friends with
That's
them.
why you're here.
Exactly. I had to meet you. I was like, who is he?
Of course.
They're
I'm so famous.
They're all talking about you.
Yeah, right.
No, so I was like, I liked interviewing bands.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was probably from some emotional lack where I was like, I have to make myself feel better about myself. I can interview Motley Crue, because at the time,
okay, but
like,
that
it was
is
heavy.
very cool.
It was pretty cool.
That is very cool, though. You know,
and I think after a while I was like, yeah. And I'm a good writer. That's why, it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
But it didn't really feed the soul. And then I was like, oh, this stand-up thing, let's try that. And thank goodness it just kept going correctly.
Right.
I was like, oh.
Here's what's interesting is like I'm such a huge appreciator of stand-up, and me and my brother my brother was really the one who got me into it. And we both just love stand-up, and we both have always been like, we're kind of like that tug of war where the two of us we're both theater kids, and we've both been like, gosh, I would love to take a nab at it, and also it terrifies me so much.
That's what I hear all
And so then
the
I'm like, so then I have to do it because I'm so scared of it.
I'm sorry, but you do.
Yeah,
I'll help you. Because this is the thing. I teach now. I'm retired from stand-up 8 years now. So I teach at this conservatory, Norwalk Conservatory of the Arts. It's a 3-year BFA program. These kids, first of all, their level of performance musical theater is insane. Like, they're so talented. They all have agents already.
Right.
Well, guess what's outside their comfort zone? Stand up.
Right.
So these poor kids, when they come in, they're so nervous. I'm like, you do stuff that's literally acrobatic, stuff I couldn't dream of doing on my best day.
Sure.
But they just are like, but how? And there's ways. I teach them storytelling, this, that.
Right.
But boy, to stretch themselves, they feel so good about themselves. And they're like, I did a final showcase and I got applause. I go, yes, you did. And also, I'll be honest with you. Let's be honest. They're taking class from me. My ego is enormous. I'm like, you're going to be good if I have to write the freaking thing for you because you are not making me look bad.
Right,
and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's so cute to like see them do something they didn't know was possible.
Right.
It's adorable.
Yeah, and I think that it's one of those things that you tell stories at family parties or things like that, and you feel like I have a rhythm, and just from knowing, being a part of musical theater is knowing vaudeville and knowing all of these styles and the rule of 3 and all of these things that are like within the realm enough of comedy that I'm like, I could craft this and make this my own in a way that's interesting. And also, we went to the Comedy Cellar a couple months ago, and I was like watching them in such awe because I was like, I can't, it's some people had the audience in the palm of their hand. Some people had them, then lost them, then had them, then lost them, which is also fascinating. It really is something that's kind of undefinable.
Well, also, I got news for you. We're watching you guys in Broadway and Off Broadway shows going, we're in awe. You don't even understand. Like I did, my school does such high level productions.
Yeah.
They did Footloose and Legally Blonde. I was literally, my mouth was not closed the whole time. I was like, how are you doing this? You are a miracle.
Right.
So I think every art form just looks at the other one and goes, I could never. This is wild.
Right.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, 2 things to that point is like we went to go see Glengarry Glen Ross last year, and it was fascinating to watch Bill Burr.
Yeah.
I mean, Odenkirk too, and that whole cast. But Bill Burr, who's, stand up first, opened this show, and I'm sitting in the last row of the balcony because that was all I could afford for that show. But the last row of the balcony, and he had me gripped.
Yes.
He was so funny. He knew exactly, his timing was just crisp. It was perfect. And I thought to myself, wow, like it's just funny how the mediums transfer more than you think. And the second thing I was going to ask you is, do you think that everyone is funny?
No. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be funny.
Right.
Everybody's not good looking. Everyone's not, know.
Okay, that one check.
You got it all.
I don't know about
honey.
funny, but that one check.
No, it is pretty wild how like we don't all have the same gifts.
Yeah.
And also the other thing is, I can't teach you to be funny, but I can teach you how to find your voice. It might end up a more serious storytelling voice. One of the kids who just in my class did his final, it was more of a storytelling thing, and it made a kind of a profound point, but he got laughs, but he was also making a point. I'm like, well, that's how you are. That's your version of funny.
And storytelling.
So yeah, I highly resent people who aren't funny, but think they are and hurt people's feelings. I don't like it.
Sure.
I'm like, well, the reason I could get away with all those insults and Howard Stern can and Rickles is because we got love in our heart for you. We know intention. We know that we don't mean any of it. When somebody's just mean, I'm just like, you don't have it like that. We don't like you enough. You have to really be lovable, likable. Lovability, if somebody has that, they could pretty much do anything.
And smart. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I found interesting in watching a bunch of your comedy and researching this is like, it was never lazy. It was never, and it was never cheap. And to that point about the people you're mentioning, Rickles, and it was never, even if he's repeating a joke, it was never cheap. It was always something that took care and effort and like something clever or a spin or something that was very unique.
Right. And I think a lot of people think, oh, I'll just call this one a this or a that. And I'm like, that's fine. Like freedom of speech, again, this play I'm associate producer of, Lenny Bruce, was all about freedom of speech.
Yeah.
But it's also craft something, make sure that your intention is known. It's just like, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think I always used to get insulted when I used to go on dates or whatever. And like the guy would be like, oh, I was wondering. Because that's the type I always dated. Dumb. Freaking stupid. I always went for the hot dummy. And it doesn't work. So.
You get one. The hot part, I guess.
The hot part's kind of good for a month. But they'd be like, I think I could be a comic. I'd be like, yeah, no, you can't. No, I don't like you. Because that's just it's like me saying I could be a lawyer.
Right.
I guarantee you I couldn't.
Right.
I guarantee you I couldn't be a doctor. I guarantee it. And the only reason I can't be an actor, by the way, I figured out, because I know I'm a good actor, I cannot, and this is not age, I can't memorize.
Oh, interesting.
I have never been able to do it.
Oh, that's funny.
Whatever I did, I made them let me ad-lib everything so that it would be loose.
Funny.
But I can't. And all my friends who are directors and stuff are like, oh no, there's tricks. I go, honey, I know my limits. I stink.
It's so funny. I had this for a long time. Although, like they always say teenagers have like this sense of invincibility. It's like when you get to a teenager for whatever reason, it's like a biological, psychological thing that like, you feel invincible. You walk, you walk across the street when it tells you not to and stuff like that. Okay. And I always feel like she liked that one. I always feel like I have retained that, and I've been like, I'm good at everything. I can try anything, But it's funny to your point about the idea of it was when I met the first time. This is such a strange little detour, but when I met the first time I ever met a neurosurgeon, I was like, I can't do anything. I was like, oh, your job is insane. I wouldn't. Yes. I could never. I can't fathom.
Well, dude. Also, like, do you watch The Pit?
Yeah.
Not only could I not be that doctor, I can't be the guy who memorizes the lines about doctoring. It's like, no, we can't do that. I could just be a fan. And that's the thing. After retiring, you don't even realize how much fun it is to be a fan.
Sure.
Just to go see things and to have these things occur and like go, oh, I'm getting entertained on a Saturday. I used to be so sad on Saturday sometimes. I'm like, why do I have to entertain you? Why can't I be sitting somewhere?
That's funny.
And I just like love being able to go see things. Yeah. That being said, I hate seeing bad things. Sure. And there are some, I'm sorry, this is so mean.
No.
Some plays/musicals should not be done by community theaters or high schools. Are you going to even understand Rent? Are you in any way, shape, or form going to be able to have the emotional depth to do Next to Normal?
Sure.
Stop it. And these are always white people. White people are the problem. No, but it cracks me up when I go, my friends will go, oh, I'm in Next to Normal at such and such. And I'll be like, oh, can't go. So sad. That's the weekend I have to kill you.
And she's like, I didn't tell you what the dates were.
I know.
She's like, I didn't even say what the...
We have such a telepathic link. No, but it's so funny because I like go. I'm not a snob in the least about theater because I don't know that much about it.
Sure.
But I like to see something good.
Yeah.
And I kind of know if it's bad.
Sure.
Which is fun because I text my friends during it and I go, is this bad? And they're like, yes, confirmed.
It's funny. Like after I tell this story sometimes, like after the pandemic, I remember coming out and seeing everything and just being like, this is amazing.
Right.
And it's only upon retrospect that I'm like, maybe that wasn't that amazing. But I think that time, the time away from theater made me want to see anything that I was like, this is amazing.
No, that makes sense. Any port in a storm. It's like if you're starving, anything seems pretty good. But then you could get discerning if you have food in the refrigerator.
It's like in the last couple of years, I started to get jaded again.
Yeah, good. And rightfully so.
Right. Do you remember your first time ever doing stand-up?
Oh, yeah. I still have the tape.
Oh, really?
Because back then it was on VHS tapes. It is good. I'm not going to lie to you. I took a little class from this guy in New Haven, Connecticut named Michael Jackson. This was a different Michael Jackson.
Oh.
This one was black.
That's the one that they just made the movie about.
Yes, it is. And you stepped on my punchline. You didn't even listen. Yeah, this one was black because it's a great joke. It always gets a laugh, and he has to plow right through. Podcasting genius. Oh, am I the first person who yelled at you on your podcast?
You may be, probably.
No, but seriously, I take this little class from him. So he really knew how to like help us craft the 5 minutes to really be in our own voice. And I learned a lot from him how I teach now. And it was at Joker's Wild in New Haven, Connecticut. And I love that set so much that I keep it. I've shown it to people. And again, you bomb after, you bomb the next time or whatever. But boy, I said that night, I was like, yeah, I'm a comic. Like this is happening.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
What did you talk about?
Oh, at the time it was weight struggles because like I've had from 18 to about 50 something, I had like so many weight and food issues and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about like these different incidences where people would say things or whatever. So it was mostly about that.
Yeah.
And all I remember were these two guys on the tape. It's wild. Somebody was taping it from the back and these two guys high-five during one of the punchlines. I'm like, I'm onto something. So it's almost just a little breadcrumb of like, oh, I can do this.
Where was it? Where did you do it?
Joker's Wild in New Haven, Connecticut, which is gone, not sadly.
But that's funny.
But yeah, then it just started to be where I wanted to really work on it and be like, okay, I want to be really good.
Yeah. And it's interesting, you know, to your point about the things that you talk about. I've heard Kevin Hart talk about this where he was like, I'm in my 40s now and suddenly I had to, well, I guess not. Yeah, he's in his 40s still. It's like suddenly he had to kind of relook at the way that he did his comedy because he was like, what's funny to me now might have not even been funny to me 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that what's interesting about the way that you did comedy, approached comedy, and the way that it evolved over the years is exactly that. Like you talked a lot about what was personal to you.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of it was where I would listen in the old days. You'd have a cassette player in your dashboard. So on the way home, I would listen to the tape. And the only stuff I was laughing at was the crowd work and the insults and stuff. And I go, oh, I think this is a sign because I also like the Dean Martin roast, like I said. So I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I take more chances and more. And I'm like, oh my God, I recently found like my comedy, not notebooks, but it's like a card file of all my insults. It's like this thick, like 2-inch thick, 2 of them. And they're so organized. Yeah. And they're so funny because it's like, I mean, it's so white ladies group, and then it has like things I would say to
a bunch
him,
of different riffs
Indian, and like, you know, Western
That's
Indian,
so funny.
Eastern Indian. Like, it was so nuts. And I was like, yeah, but this is like, we have to write them correctly. You have to get them. You have to make them know you love them internally. And that's why, you know, nowadays, I don't know if people can read intention. But back then, it was like, I felt I was being responsible because I was like, well, like they know I love them. I always thought the biggest insult is not including someone. So we got to hit everybody, myself included. Right. If you leave out gay men, that means you're scared or you don't like them. So I think that's why roasting works is when you just like everybody, include them. Right.
That's so interesting. That's such an interesting point. Do you remember to this point, like, do you remember the first time that you were bombed?
Yeah, it was horrendous.
Really?
It was literally where I'm not lying to you, 30 some years later, if I had that tape, I would not watch it. Wow. It was so bad. But it was also mixed with different emotional things because at the time, my brother, who had been a sports editor at ESPN and the Hartford Courant, had gotten me this gig, and I had only been doing comedy less than 6 months. I should have said no. And it was for like a big conference. Okay. And of course I'm sitting there dying. Yeah. So then it was, I've let my brother down. I've looked bad to him. I cashed the check for sure. But I do remember going home and I called Al Martin, who at the time owned New York Comedy Club, who saw me on my first time on stage ever. And he really thought I was good. And I was just crying. I was like, Al, oh my God, I bombed. And he goes, you learn more from dying than killing. So if you want, I'll put you up on an open mic tomorrow. I think you should. And I said, oh my God. And I went and I did. And thank God I kept going. Oh, I mean, it was so painful. Yeah. But this is life.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I've heard that exact thing said. It's like you learn more from those experiences than from the opposite. And it's something that I feel like just from my perspective, a bomb is me forgetting the words in the middle of my audition.
Yes,
It's me,
yes.
thinking I could hit that note and then going, ooh. And that's like it's just, I remember each and every one of those moments very, very specifically. But it also is like the biggest thing that I'm like, you know what? Like,
you can't. Yeah. And I coach a lot of people now. I do creativity coaching for a lot of these recent grads and stuff. And I'm just like, you're allowed to be sad.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be disappointed. Because a lot of these women, I coach a lot of women, they're just like, well, my mom says, well, on to the next. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. That's super cool. You could take like a day and feel sad you didn't get that thing. I think we rush through emotions and it's so damaging. And we're allowed every emotion. Like no emotion is bad, even anger or rage. It's telling you something.
Yeah.
So I just feel so bad when they rush from one thing to another. They don't process it. It ends up grief and then they're weighed down by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wish I had processed more of that. Oh, that's really sad.
Right. I remember one time we went to an audition. There was a point like we'd come from some vacation or whatever, and I went to an audition. It was a dance call. I didn't think I was like especially right for the piece, but I went in and I just did so awfully. Like it was one of those things where I was like, I'm not sure that this is for me. And then I went in and they were like, not only is it not for you, you can't do this at all. Like they didn't say that.
Yeah.
But it was just that's what it felt
vibe,
like.
Yeah.
And I just sat there. This is such a crazy story, but like because my girlfriend laughs at me for this story, but like I remember sitting there at Pearl Studios down the block, and I was like, and I just felt myself start to like cry, like just like a couple of tears start to come down, and she was right there, like right next to me, and I was like, and I like looked at her and I was like, that really sucked. And it took me like 20 minutes to like really sit in it, and then I was like, okay, that feels so much better now that I did it, rather than being like and putting on a happy face, right? It's and
it's, I think it becomes then complicated grief, what they call it, where it's this big rock. It's in there. It's in the body, and it just doesn't get processed. And then you do it with food or alcohol or vaping or all this other garbage, and it's like, oh my God, I can just feel a feeling.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do with the kids, because I'm like, you're allowed to be sad. I don't think anyone realizes you're just allowed to be sad. Yes, you don't want to make it complicated grief or depression.
Right.
But boy, you're allowed to say, boy, I got to the final callback for Moulin Rouge on Broadway, and I didn't get it.
Right.
Yeah, take a day. Be sad.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I'm like looking at your shirt here, Richie.
That's my boyfriend. My lover.
First of all, he's incredible in that show, but have you seen him in Dog Day Afternoon?
No. I'm the type that I like to love him from afar. And also I love him as Jafar. That's a fantasy. He should play Jafar. I always like the villains. I'm mentally ill. Want to know something? I watched This Bear, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I only am sexually attracted to Richie in season 1 because he's such a mess. When he's selling heroin out of the back of the restaurant. This is why I don't date. Right. Because let me tell you something. First of all, I'm not about to share my wealth with some guy.
Sure.
Second of all, I only like these horrible men. So I said this, Richie. I lose I could say the word hard on. I lose my hard on, wide on, whatever it is, for him when he gets all nice. Yeah, he's polishing a spoon. I don't want to polish a spoon.
He really like picks it up and gets it together in season 2. He's polishing the forks.
No,
and, he's singing Taylor Swift. And,
I do love Taylor Swift, but I'll tell you what, I just love a bad boy, and that's okay. I'm at peace.
I will say, if that's the case, then you really got to go see him in this play. Because he is bad in that play.
I think
he's amazing. Ivan is amazing in the play, but he's amazing at being bad.
And both of those guys are such bad boys.
They're and together they were a force in that show. It was
Well, and speaking of bad boys, watch this professional media consultant that I am. Well, what a smooth transition into the play that I'm associate producing about a bad boy himself.
The ultimate bad boy, Lenny Bruce. Well, let's talk a little bit about it.
Thank
you. You're associate producing the play, The People Versus Lenny Bruce, which is happening at Theater Row, and you guys start previews this week.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm dying. I was just over watching them build the set. Nice. I don't even understand how theater is this magical. Because with stand-up, you kind of go there, you put a stool there, you got some jerk do a sound check. That's it.
Right.
This set's being built. There's actors memorizing. I'm in awe of all of them. And I'm like, this is going to be a good play. Yeah. It's based on Martin Garbus, who's the legendary attorney, his obscenity trial that he represented Lenny Bruce. And I'm obviously a big Lenny Bruce fan. Yeah. His whole thing was about the words don't matter. nothing's obscene just because it's a word. It's the message behind it, which is how I always did comedy.
Yeah.
So when I read the script, by the way, this is awesome. They send me the script just because they know I love that kind of comedy.
Right.
I was so afraid to read it. Because you ever somebody sends you something and you're like, oh no, I'm going to have to lie and say it's like,
How do I deny this?
Yeah. And also like, it's like when somebody shows you a picture of their kid and they're ugly, you have to say the kid's cute. Babies have to be cute.
Yeah.
So I had a friend of mine read it. I go, Andrew, read this.
Right.
If it stinks, I'm going to just lie and say I lost it.
Right.
And he goes, no, dude, it's good. So I then read it and I'm like, wow, Lenny Bruce is so relevant today, especially with the Jimmy Kimmel stuff happening, all the stuff with Colbert. I'm like, freedom of speech is important. Yeah. And we need to like bang it home.
Right.
So I was like, let me get involved.
He was also just, I mean, almost a visionary, but like by accident. He wasn't intending to be different, you know, but he was super different. And I was wondering, so tell us exactly what the play covers, because the play covers free speech in a very specific way.
Yeah. Susan Charlotte, who wrote the play, she took the trial that Martin Garbus did. And you know, trial records and court transcripts are not exciting. And she somehow made it into this play about the trial with Lenny Bruce, like breaking off and doing bits and doing things and fighting for his life.
Very cool.
And there's a really beautiful cast that, and all these are like classy people. Like I'm the type, okay, I'm a low life. I don't know these fancy actors, studio people, Juilliards, all of them.
Yeah.
I said, these people got credits. They got like fame. But so it feels pretty good to like go, oh, like the acting is sick.
Right.
Like Roberta Wallach is in it, who is Eli Wallach and Ann Jackson's daughter. Like these are people who've done things.
And Ian Lithgow is in it, who's
I'm
John
telling-
Lithgow's son, and,
Yeah,
and
I
also
mean-
has a great career in and of himself.
Yeah.
You know?
And the kid they discovered is this kid, Johnny Anthony, plays Lenny Bruce. He's obsessed with Carlin, Bruce, all those guys.
Nice.
So what I love is thank God, he's not doing an impression of him.
Oh,
because you know
interesting.
that's a death knell.
Right.
The guy playing the lawyer, Martin Garbus, is not doing an impression of Martin. He's doing it almost like a tribute, but adding their own flavor
Authentic
to it.
himself, yeah.
But when this kid does the Lenny Bruce stuff,
Right.
there's all that gravitas, but also humor. I'm like, oh, you're gonna laugh and cry.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy.
I actually
it's going
saw
the way
him
it is.
in The Other Americans,
Oh,
John
yeah?
Leguizamo's piece last fall, and he
You
was
did?
great in that. So when I saw his name and it said The Other Americans, I was like, oh, right. Very different to what he's doing in this piece, but he was great in that piece.
Oh,
he
I'm
was
so
awesome.
glad.
Yeah.
And
So
he's
I'm
a good
excited to see
guy.
it.
And he came in, and obviously he jokes about it. He's way younger than Lenny Bruce was at the time, because Lenny Bruce, I guess, was 37 or 39, and he's 20 something.
Right.
But he goes, oh, I just didn't shave for a few days because I wanted that part, and I went in looking scruffy, and I was like, okay, I got to do it. And I love that about actors, that they're like, you know what? I may not be the exact thing they want in the breakdown, but let me see.
Yes.
And the kid nailed it. Like there was, after him, they said there was no one else.
Well, it's so funny. That's amazing. And it's so funny to that point. It's like, you know, I'm always encouraging of those kind of things. Also, isn't he Hispanic? I think he's Hispanic.
I thought it was Italian.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm totally
well,
off.
Lenny Bruce was Jewish.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like pretty, I don't know what he is.
Yeah. I wonder because I think I'm pretty sure he was, because I think he played one in the Other Americans.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know though. But regardless, I think that sometimes people will look at the breakdowns and they'll be like, oh, Lenny Bruce, he was white, I'm not going in. And it's like, but it depends on it really does depend on what they're looking for, because there's an essence thing that matters a little bit more than the physical of it all.
Well, I'm going to tell you something I have not said out loud. I can't believe I'm going to say this, even on a podcast. I haven't even said this to a friend.
Yeah.
When they sent me the script,
Yeah.
I was like, I bet they want to do a gender bendy thing and have me play Lenny Bruce, because they get that I would be like so identified with that character.
Right,
and they're like,
right.
yeah, no, we just want you involved. And I'm like, oh, that sounds good. I would never. But isn't it
course.
funny how we think?
Yeah.
I always think that stuff. And I remember I just listened to Lena Dunham's book, and she said that, you know, after Girls happened and she was, you know, had a downfall a bit and kind of was very sick physically, somebody called her from HBO saying, you know, we have this new show. Do you know any good directors? And she read it and she was like, yeah, what about, I can do it. And they're like, yeah. So you never know.
Right.
And she goes on to direct this industry, that show on HBO.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? Sometimes they do these things.
Yeah.
I like a gender bendy idea. So I'm
course.
putting it out there.
It's just, hey, maybe you'll take over.
That's right.
But no, it's interesting. It's certainly interesting. And I think that there's something to the idea of don't say no to yourself, let them say no to you.
Love that.
You know what I mean? And I think that that's such I heard someone say that on a podcast. Could be this one. But it's I think it really does ring true. Is like we're very quick to be like, oh no, I wouldn't be right for that. Oh, I don't know. They wouldn't see me. But
that's a good point. We talk ourselves out of so many things. I coached this one girl and she goes, oh, I went in for an audition for a short film. I didn't think I did well, but they made me stay for a chemistry read. I said, that just shows you are an unreliable narrator of your own life, just like the rest of us. You told yourself you didn't do well, but you did. And we never know what they want.
Right.
That's the crazy thing. And a lot of times, don't you agree? They don't want someone, quote, better than you.
Right.
They want somebody different than you.
Yeah.
It's not that you're bad.
Yeah.
Some people are freaking inarguably awful, but we're not those people.
Sure.
They just wanted something different. I remember, oh my God, The Sopranos was so huge when I was coming up in comedy. Yeah. And Johnny Sacks, this character, they were auditioning for his wife who was like 400 pounds, Ginny Sacks. I get called for it. And at the time I was only like 240, which for me was lightweight.
Sure.
So I go in and I am too thin for the role, which by the way, emotionally a huge compliment. But I was like, you never know what they want. And they found the perfect woman to do it.
Right.
You know, Ginny was perfect. So we just never know.
Yeah.
Go in, you give it your all, and then you can look in your, I always say just, as long as you're able to look in the mirror at the end of the day and I said, I did the best I could, you're fine.
Yeah, I think so too. I want to ask you a little bit about, in regards to insult comedy, and we'll talk a little bit more about the play as an overarching theme with all this, but, what do you think is the key to insult comedy and to roasting?
I think it's first lovability.
Yeah.
Because I say to my class when I'm teaching on the first day, I just go, I can't make you likable. I can't make you lovable, but we can make your material show who you are.
Yeah.
So it'll limit the kind of comedy you do. So I think you just have to be somebody people really will take crap from. Like, remember, I would roast people like Hulk Hogan and all these people on these different daises.
Yeah.
And they'd like me at the end. They'd be like Courtney Love, who poor thing was such a mess. At the time, she was on drugs a lot. And she was like, I love you. And I'm like, oh, now I'm high because you talked to me. But I think a lot of it is that lovability.
Yeah.
And I think those are the people it works best for.
Right.
But that being said, some people can write stuff clever enough that it can still kill.
Yeah.
But you might have a different audience.
Yeah.
I liked the fact that my audience was so multicultural and was so many different groups of people. And so the ones who just appealed to bro-y white guys,
sure,
I wouldn't have wanted that audience.
Sure.
My audience was tons of interracial couples. It was tons of gay guys, tons of lesbians. And I'm like, oh, by the way, if only I had been a lesbian, I could have gotten laid so much. Because I would always have kind of goofy looking guys come up to me, but hot chicks. I was like, damn.
That's funny.
If
That's
I
funny.
only tickled the taco. See, maybe in the next life.
Yeah, right. It's so funny. Like, what I want to ask you a little bit about the idea. I want to ask you about the first roast that you ever did, and how really what I want to start with is like, and this roast was the roast of Chevy Chase, and I want to ask you about how you got involved in that in the first place, and then we'll take it from there.
The universe protects me. I'm telling you, we always get what we're supposed to get. We always get what we need. I had joined the Friars Club in New York City. It's a legendary society of comedians and also other people who can afford to join because they want to hang out with comedians and show business people.
What was it? Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's a 5-story building, legendary. You know, it started by like the Milton Berles and all those guys, and vaudeville was big. You know, all those performers. I think Lucille Ball might have been the first female member.
Wow.
And it was a big court case for her to get in and stuff. So, but they really liked me because I did the insults. But, you know, I was an unknown. I was just doing comedy at the Cellar and all these places in the city. So all of a sudden, I'll never forget where I was sitting. Honestly, it's like the happiest thing ever. I'm sitting in my little studio apartment in Tudor City on my little IKEA desk, and the phone landline rings, and they're like, Jean-Pierre from the Friars Club. He's the head of the Friars Club. We talked to Comedy Central because they were producing the roasts, them and Comedy Central.
Yeah.
we're allowed to put someone on the roast. We said, you have to have Lisa Lampanelli. And they're like, we don't know who she is. And they're like, well, we do. So you're putting her on. So 2 weeks I only have to prepare for this. The later roasts, I would take 6 months to prepare because you have to be on TV and great. But they go, in 2 weeks, you got to be ready. Dude, there was never a better 2 weeks. I canceled everything. I put the dress on a credit card and go, I have to pay that back immediately after the roast. Like, it was so insane. And thank God I was so prepared.
Yeah.
I went 13th. They never put that many people anymore.
Right.
13th, but thank goodness Paul Schaefer set me up so beautifully.
Yeah.
And so many people bombed. They did, as Emily Dickinson once said, ate their own cocks. So I, thank goodness, by the fates of God, I do so well. They moved me up in the broadcast to third.
Sure.
And so we're watching that night at a watch party going, oh, my first thing, but I'm 13th. All of a sudden they're like, da-da-da, here she is. And from then on, just every year, they just kept asking me to do them. And then we did a bunch of closed door roasts at the Friars Club. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And yeah. I even, it's corny, but you'll get it. I'm walking out of that apartment on the way to the roast with my dress in my hand. And I'm like looking back at the apartment. It was like a movie. I was like, tonight when I come back into this room, my life will be changed for better or worse. Because if I had tanked, I would have been cut out.
Right.
But thank goodness it went great. Those are like the best memories.
Well, it's just like, it's such an insane high pressure, but also what feels like what could be once in a lifetime.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And also you're roasting somebody who's like iconic. This is not bottom of the barrel. This is Chevy Chase. Like,
that was a really big one. And P.S., he told me, Paul Schaefer told me, Chevy hated everyone on the roast except me. And I couldn't figure out why. And he said, because you didn't attack him for the drugs and all that stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Because this is how I'm smart. I'm going to brag for a second.
Yeah.
I know all the stuff they're going to hit.
Right.
And I'm like, well, they're going to not want me to repeat the same subject. So I would always dig a lot for different stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to do that. Like, if you're roasting Pam Anderson, no one needs another boob joke. Like, nobody needs another, like, guy joke. Figure out something interesting that's kind of hidden. So with Chevy, I was so happy he liked me because he's a known pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And also he had his sunglasses on the whole time and wouldn't look at us.
Right.
Do you know how off-putting that is? But I was so unknown that I was like, oh, I'm making this a big deal. Like, this has to look like I'm having a blast, but I'm dying up there scared.
Right.
And thank goodness, because Paul set it up so well. The whole room was on my side.
It was great, but also your jokes, you know.
The jokes were good.
The jokes were excellent. And you can find it on YouTube. The whole thing's on YouTube now. But it is wild because, especially considering this is post Chevy Chase documentary that came out now and all the hubbub around that and all the things that we know about Chevy Chase now. Yes. You're like watching him and I'm going, oh, he's hating this. He
hated every second. And I just remember just some of the jokes, though, they became like such funny turns of phrase. Like I remember saying things like, oh, look, Rosie O'Donnell's here. Oh, no, that's Freddie Roman. Like the ways I used to do those things. That was a great joke. And I go, oh, that's like the way my voice is. Yeah. You know, so I found like how I was supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And again, I don't regret retiring for 1 second because, boy, that is a career you got to stay so one thing after another, topping yourself. I can't live life that way. I don't like the pressure. But boy, those were some fun moments that I will never regret. I did all that stuff.
Yeah. So freaking cool. And but I've heard you mention too that Chevy was the only one that really took it personally.
Correct.
Now, all of these other people that you get roasted, some of which I'm gonna riff for a second if I can. It's like Dennis Leary, Jeff Foxworthy, Pamela Anderson, William Shatner, Gene Simmons, Larry the Cable Guy, David Hasselhoff. Like this is crazy.
And by the way, I didn't get tricked. But I roasted Donald Trump twice because he hadn't yet been in politics. Obviously,
I was saving that one for last.
I would never be in a room with him, obviously. Once he decided to run, I was like, oh, this is just evil. But dude, the things I said about him, especially at the closed door roast at the Friars that no one will ever see, epic stuff. But weirdly, he could take a joke back then.
Well, it's very interesting because I watched that stuff too, and I was saving that one for last because if I'm right, that was one of your last ones, right? Donald Trump.
I was like, I'm done.
And it was pretty late. It's not like in my head it was like 2004 or something. I also should mention Flavor Flav, which was a great one too. So good.
And the best sport in the world. Let me tell you one thing about Flavor Flav and also Hasselhoff and Gene Simmons. even if some of the jokes people did weren't funny, like I can watch and pretend to laugh at everything on camera. You're going to look good if you laugh. But some of the stuff's lazy or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, they would be such team players. They would just laugh. And I go, no, that's a sport.
Right.
Like you got to make people who are up there feel good, which is what Chevy didn't do.
Yeah,
you know?
sure. Well, did you get to a place with these roasts, with all these roasts, that you started to get like, all right, I'm doing my 5th, 6th roast. People are expecting something from me, and I have to deliver.
Oh my God!
Something that you
after
were worried
even
about?
the first one,
Right?
Because my friend who helped me write for the Foxworthy one, I think, which was I think one of the highest viewed ones.
Yeah.
He said, sorry, Lampanelli, after that first one, every joke has to be a haymaker. There cannot be an A-.
Right.
They all have to be A or A+. And we are going to write 500 jokes.
Right.
And we're going to grade them all. And it's like whittling. People don't know what a hard job that is.
Right.
So, but also what I resented too, they used to make me go last all the time.
Right.
Because I was so powerful. And I always resent that. I would always say, well, Jeff Ross is like really good. Like Nick DiPaolo is really good. Like these guys are great. Greg Giraldo. No, she has to go last. So of course my manager would be like, then you can pay her double, which they did, or whatever it was. And then with the Trump one, I go, I don't want to come back and do roasts if I'm not going first. Like I need to just go first once and have fun.
Yeah, why is that? Why is first the coveted?
Because all your jokes are going to be fresh. Like if I joke about Hasselhoff's when he was a big hit in Germany. Like remember he was only really famous in Germany.
Oh yeah.
If my first joke is the German one, if I have the first German joke, the rest are going to suck compared to mine. So they're all going to land a little less.
Right.
So I'm like, no, I want the first crack. So then we did that one. I was like, okay, I think I'm done with this.
Right. Well, I've seen, so the thing about it is that my relationship with roast started with Rob Lowe. That was the first one I watched.
Oh, wow.
And that was like pretty recent. I mean, not, within the last 10 years or so.
Sure.
Rob Lowe and Justin Bieber. That was like which was a great, Justin Bieber was such a great pick because that was like my whole generation watched that roast. You know what I mean?
They knew how to pick people.
And God bless him. I mean, he was being reamed for everything. And that was someone that was, anyway. Yeah. But my point with it was that, as they've evolved, well, first of all, they stopped happening. Really, if we're really speaking, there's the only one that's happened in the last 5 years is Tom Brady, and now this Kevin Hart one that's ideally coming up this weekend, right? Which is so perfect. But and I want to talk about that with you a little bit. But my point with what I was getting at with the roast was, I see now people in the middle of people will talk about this is how like if they're 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever, and someone went and then they're going, okay, well that one's cut.
I always said to people, watch us sitting in the background and you will see me meticulously working. And I always resented it a little that I wasn't a drinker. I never liked booze, but they would all be drinking and having fun and this and that. And every commercial, they're all having a good time. And I am rewriting and arrows and this and that. And I remember, especially one I'm proud of is Pam Anderson. They were doing, not all of them, obviously, some of these men were doing some super gross, and I don't mind gross, but lazy gross.
Yeah.
And she was doing that thing that women do, or probably gay men also, or anyone who's a maligned group.
Sure.
Is the forced smile, that sad, I'm trying to be brave. And at one point, Tommy Lee, who, they had fondness for each other despite divorce, during a break I'm watching, and he goes over and he goes, "You okay?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, because she knew people that were looking at her. Oh, dude, something in me. I'm an Enneagram 8, which means very protective. I get that my freaking script and I start crossing out every Pam Anderson joke that was cheap. I did one Pam joke. I did the rest of the roast about everyone else. Yeah. And I was like, I am not putting up with this crap on her behalf. I don't know her. She's a perfectly nice person. But it got me so mad.
Yeah.
So I don't mind a joke if it's well written and cute and just dumb. Right. But don't just be lambasting this woman for this stuff.
Yeah, it's cheap shots.
Yeah, it was like, gross.
But I will say, it's funny, I didn't realize until I started to watch them more and more that sometimes those jokes that are the zingers toward everyone else are the ones that hit. I mean, the really famous one that I wanted to discuss with you anyway a little bit was like Nikki Glaser at this Tom Brady roast. It's one that everyone's going to remember. That is like the thing that she was so fast, so sharp, and she was like a tornado, you know, and she was attacking everyone, and she was walking around and like there was I was one wondering because you've known her for a while,
Yes.
and like have worked with her, in many different capacities in Howard Stern and X, Y, and Z. And I was just wondering if you could speak toward that with her, especially because I think that she's one of the pioneers right now. It feels like.
Well, I wouldn't say pioneer.
Not pioneer, but
iconic, because what the pioneers are the people like the Rickles and all that.
Right.
But I think with her, where she raised the bar was like, again, 6 months to prepare for one of these things. People think it's easy. It's so hard. And it's so, every syllable is meticulous. Like, I remember once being like, I can say 2 F's and 1 C per roast because the bleeps are funny 3 times. But if it's FFFFF, then you're going to be just bleeped and nobody even hears the jokes.
Right.
So you have to be super careful about everything and just meticulous. And I think she just works harder.
Yeah.
And I think she said this before. Deep insecurity makes you work really hard. Eating disorders make you work really hard. Like things that you just go, I got to be best. I got to be best. The drive. So I fully respect that ethic. Oh my God. I hate laziness.
Yeah. And I imagine that I don't even think they've announced a lineup. Look it up for me, actually, for this roast that's coming up. I mean, by the time this airs, it will have just come out. The roast of Kevin Hart. That's this Sunday.
Yeah.
But I imagine she's got to be a part of it, and she's probably been planning this for a while as well.
I wonder, because she's elevated to this Golden Globes host.
Yes.
SNL host.
She has her own special that either just came out or is coming out
last week.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you go, is this right for me now? Do I have the emotional bandwidth, the psychological bandwidth to withstand this?
Yeah.
Like, so who knows? I mean, I hope so, because it'll be great.
Yeah.
But these are tough, high profile things. Even like I did 13 Tonight shows. Tonight shows are so hard.
Yeah.
People don't even get how hard that is.
Right.
So I don't even know why I think it takes a certain mental problems to want to be famous and perform. I really do. I think there's something wrong with us. And a part of me goes, well, the mentally healthier I got, the less I wanted to perform. Cool. But here I am sitting on a podcast promoting other people who perform.
Right.
So we all are kind of nuts.
And it's interesting too, is like, there's in most things, it's like when they tell you to not do it, you usually just stop doing it. But in this case, that means I'm going to do it even more.
Correct. No, exactly. Like push. We all got something to prove.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's funny. And I want to ask you in regards to this, to the roast culture of it all. It's like, what do you think that you working in those roasts feels like a heyday for them? Because they were happening so often, and they were happening with like but now, and what I've read and what I've heard is like Tom Brady was one of the most watched, highest rated things on Netflix ever.
Like ever. Yes.
And you would think, and that was already at least 2 years ago.
Yes.
And in my head, I was like, wow, that they're back now. We're going to see a lot of these.
I hope so.
And we haven't. And then a lot of it from what I've heard was that people are afraid to be that person. People are afraid to be both people in the sense that they don't want to be roasted and they don't want to roast.
Yeah.
And I think that's for multiple reasons, but I was wondering if you could speak to that. Why do you think the roasts have kind of died out, and what do you think is like the best thing to bring them back, I guess?
I thought for a while that it was like wokeness and politically correct culture, which I think is fine.
Sure.
Because honestly, I did an interview the other day and they were like, if you ever came back as a comic, I go, well, I wouldn't.
Sure.
But would you do the same type of material? I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if I would feel comfortable using those words. I know my intention was inclusion.
Right.
Just like, Lenny Bruce's was freedom of speech, but you don't want to do a TED talk about it. You want to be funny about it and include everybody with insults.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's where it's too politically incorrect now, which by the way, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad for groups not to feel great being made fun of. I mean, I would fully participate in an only white Karen's roast. I would love it. I would be like doing that for free. I think I actually do that for free every day in Connecticut. So just driving around. Hey, Karen. But
That's funny.
it's interesting how maybe it did have its day, and then it's like, okay, not so
but,
much.
But in the same breath, I'm like, clearly there's a hunger for it, because these things are happening, and I think that on one hand, things went politically correct or whatever you want to say, but I think that now there's a whole nother side that's showing their desire for a little bit more honesty, and I think I don't know.
I don't know. I think I'm just happy to be an observer at this point.
Sure.
Because even what did I get asked to do recently? Yeah, I won't say the name of the show. Okay, so last year I was asked to do Celebrity Weakest Link, and I am retired, but I was like, yeah, $50,000 for my charity. Are you kidding me?
Right.
I do all my charity for Gay Men's Health Crisis and the Animal League of America. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go on because I have nothing to prove because I'm retired. I don't have to be funny. I end up winning, of course, because I'm not trying to be funny and I'm just smart. So this year they asked me to do a different charity TV show that I won't name. And I go, oh, that's more risky because it involves more stunts.
Okay.
Like Celebrity Weakest Link was just talking and answering questions. It's more stunt-oriented competition with people in a sort of a weirder setting.
Yeah.
I was like, too much social media, too much chance of me being maligned or misunderstood. So I said, I just don't want to risk the lack of peace that would bring me.
Right.
So I think with these roasts and it's if it's something that could be fun and just not taken too seriously, it'd be great. But boy, I would run from them because I'm like, I will just be told I'm this person or that person that I know inside I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. I think that because yes, and also I'm like, what I think the roasts are doing or these types, like, it's funny. Like I think about Marlon Wayans, who I love the man. And I think his stand up is just so underrated and people don't talk about it enough, but we went to go see him like around a year and a half ago, his latest special that's meant to come out soon. And he's saying things that you go, I don't know that he would get away with this under different pretenses. And those pretenses being the fact that Marlon Wayans is black. And I'm like, there are things like, there are Dominican jokes that he'll make, and they're funny, man. They're so good. They're so funny. And in certain cases, really accurate.
Right.
And I was like, well, a white person wouldn't be able to get, but in the same breath, I'm like, I don't know. Because nowadays, there are certain jokes that, so there is like a little bit of a pendulum swinging back and forth that I appreciate. I think that if it's funny, try it, you know?
Yeah,
but
I'm more the type that I go, you know, I say to my students, I'm like, okay, you have a good moral compass about what you mean versus what you say.
Yeah.
Just sit with it. See if it feels okay in your body. See
Right.
if you'll hate yourself the next day.
Sure.
See if making fun of that student would feel
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
And I just think it's nice for us to be accountable to ourselves, but also
That's
to go,
an interesting point.
well, you know what, white people, step back. You had your day. You effed up things enough.
Sure.
How about we just kind of like move on?
Well, I want to discuss with you because you mentioned the reality show of it all. You did a whole season of Celebrity Apprentice.
vey.
I was just wondering if you could speak to the experience of being around a presence like he was and on The Apprentice and in the roast.
Well, funny enough, on The Apprentice, again, all this was before politics. And
Yeah.
the foolishest thing that we knew he did, or the most foolish thing, look, I'm English, aren't I? I don't know English. The worst thing he had ever done, in public, was be a buffoon. Like, so
Sure.
we didn't know the rape allegations and all that stuff.
Sure.
Like, none of that was out. So in the Apprentice, all he does is give the assignment and leave.
Right.
You don't talk to him. At one point, he brought Melania through the dressing room like she's a show pony, and we all had to like kiss the ring, but I could care less because I was like, I'm working.
Sure.
I was like a mental patient on that thing. I was like, screaming at everybody. And then he'd be in the boardroom and he'd be getting all NBC in his ear and producers telling him what to say. So he wasn't
Gotcha.
really being himself anyway.
Sure.
So I'm like, this guy's like just kind of a dumb reality host, but it's fine. You know,
Sure.
at the time it was just a show.
Yeah.
And I was so proud because I won, again, $125,000 for my charity. Okay,
Right.
It was worth
Which was
doing.
amazing. I mean, that was amazing.
Yeah. I used to joke about it. I was like, and after I took my 75% cut, the gays were very grateful. No, but it was worth doing for that. And even at the roast, like, you didn't talk to him or see him or anything.
Interesting.
But he did laugh at all the jokes at the time. And I'm like, man, I just wish this stuff, why couldn't he just left it at rapey businessman? Like, that's bad enough. Leave it there.
But it's funny because you look at something like that and you go, because I was watching the roast and I'm like, I'm watching you guys make these jokes and I'm like, this joke I think would warrant 7 different tweets right now. And that joke, you know what I mean? And it's interesting how either one, people change, or 2, it's just the persona and it's a politics and it's a front, you know? I don't know what that is, but it's interesting to see because I think that his reaction toward those jokes, whether or not it's Jimmy Kimmel or whatever, has also affected the culture in a way that has made both sides more sensitive and thin-skinned to that kind of humor.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think with him, he was laughing at everything. And I do remember them saying, I remember they said he liked you so much. The Eric Trump has some foundation that helps St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
They want to have you do a benefit for St. Jude's. Who's going to say no to that?
Right.
You know, so it wasn't awful. I wonder now if any of the money got there. Who knows?
Sure.
But so it was like he enjoyed the jokes.
Right.
But I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I think it's just all just evil stuff happening.
Who knows what it is, and politics change people, and there are certain personas that you watch, and who knows what's the truth. But it's interesting to see that, like, I think that as a whole, there was, and it really wasn't that long ago. It's really only 15 years ago. But as whether you say as a country, as a whatever, we were a little bit more receptive to being able to be made fun of.
Yeah.
And there's both sides of the coin in many different respects to that, because of offensive things and what you can say and what you can't say.
I think we should just make rules that all the black people should be able to make fun of the white people. All the Jews get to make fun of the Christians. I think it's just how it should be.
But it's funny, because what I found is that I'm like, in some way, everyone is marginalized in some way, so they're constantly making fun. And whether it's self-deprecating, it's like, I can make fun of this because I'm this, and you can make fun of that because you're that.
Right,
and then in some capacity, at some level, we're all able to make fun of it. So does that mean we all just get to do?
Well, the only ones who can't make fun of anyone is white men,
like a straight white
guys who look good,
right? And this is like a straight white guy who like has all of his limbs, because if he's an amputee, he could probably say something.
No. I can't wait to lose a leg. I will come back as a comic. I will come out of retirement if my leg gets cut off. I guarantee it.
It's so funny. It's funny. I want to ask you a little bit about your theater history, because you did. You're not. You say you don't know much about theater, but you really do. This is not your first foray into theater by any means.
Yeah.
You've written your own play. You've done a one-woman show. It's like. So I was wondering if you could speak towards your experience, working on Broadway, working off Broadway, and and then I'll talk specifically about these plays.
Well, yeah. What happened was, towards like 5 years before I was, about to retire, like, you get the things working where you're like, okay, tell me when I can quit. When will I have enough money saved that I don't have to work? Like, I would never quit irresponsibly. But the stirrings were, because the message isn't getting through like I wanted to anymore. And I want to do this play about food, body image, women, struggles. And so I started working on this play called Stuffed. And it was supposed to be like a Vagina Monologues 4-woman show about this issue, right? So, oh my God, there's nothing more fun than developing a show. And it takes years and years. I've always said I loved every minute of it, even the hard parts. You're up at night, you're collaborating, it's interviewing women. It's so much fun. And nothing I hate worse than performing a show 8 times a week. Yeah. I wanted to die. I was a comic who did theaters once a week, twice a week for big money. I'm going to go off Broadway and do this thing 8 times, but I didn't know I'd hate it. So anyway, luckily the Women's Project Theater decides they want to do this show, and they're very esteemed. So we do a run of it. Luckily, a big investor came in and was like, oh, I want to pay to get this in the West Side Theater. So we did it at the West Side.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it had 2 runs. And I loved the message because it was about all these 4 different body types and people with these different body struggles. And it did. I loved this. I'm so proud of this. It closed early. And I was not disappointed because, again, I'm not an 8-show-a-week person. Now I know that.
Sure.
But I go, I'm the type, and I'm being real with you, the people who needed to see it saw it. The people who were struggling with that issue. I was like, had this thing at the end of the day where I'm like, well, I'm a little embarrassed because you just have embarrassment over something, quote, failing, closing 2 weeks early. But after that, it's like the message got through to those who needed it. And a theater in Italy just bought it and translated it and did it there.
Whoa.
So you just go, that's amazing. Cute. Like, it all feels cute to me.
Sure.
And I met a person who was in a big off-Broadway show that was a huge hit. And I brought it up to them that they're a bigger person. I said, oh, I've written this play. And they said to me, why don't we like update it and like figure out how to make it something with us? And I was like, oh, okay, cute.
Yeah.
To me, the idea of working that subject matter, because it's so resonant now with Ozempic and all the body positivity and negativity, I was like, maybe it's time now.
Right.
I think it was before its time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
It was approximately 10 years ago stuff.
Yeah. And I kind of love that it did well enough to get a good review in the Times. Like, it's just kind of cool.
And it's niche enough that, like, people who saw it really saw it and resonated with it.
I think it's so funny to not, because I've failed at a lot, which I think is really important to know.
Yeah.
I have more failures than successes,
Sure.
but I still feel okay. So I wish people who are in performing arts would be like, it's okay to fail.
Right.
I've had 3 podcasts that didn't do the numbers it needed.
Sure.
So what? I had fun.
Yeah.
I have the feeling of joy. The feeling is what you're chasing, not the achievement, the feeling.
Yeah.
Writing stuff was literal joy. And I'm not kidding.
that's
For
awesome.
over 2 years. Did that take away from it because the tickets didn't sell? No.
Right.
So chase the feeling.
Yeah.
That's what I teach
You also had
these
a
kids.
wonderful cast, too. I mean, Ann Harada, who's just like a comedy
Come on,
genius.
come on.
She's like a genius. We just saw her in
Yes.
Schmigadoon, and she is just
So
so
good.
good. She's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had trials and tribulations with that too. I won't mention who it is, but we cast somebody in the second iteration at the West Side who was pretty damn famous. And bless her heart, I wasn't even mad. She could not memorize because she was a
TV
movie
film.
actor.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of empathy. We
Right.
had it, the understudy knew it the first day.
Right.
So
right.
sometimes your understudies are your whole thing, man.
Yeah.
And she saved it.
Yeah.
So again, it meant to do what it was meant to do.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's awesome. How do you think that has, I mean, it's a different gig than what you're doing now with the People Versus Lenny Bruce, but because with that one, you're associate producing, but were you producing Stuffed as well?
Oh my God. No, Stuffed. I was writing it and acting
Rewriting
in it.
it.
It rewrote until the last second.
Right.
And I could not, you would laugh. You would have murdered me during tech. What do you mean find my light? What are you kidding? I use a spotlight. Just follow me around. This is stupid. Why do I got to
Right.
stand here?
Right.
Dude, there's nothing I hate worse than that whole process because I'm not
Sure.
a theater person.
Sure.
I'll go to see theater instead. But yeah, I just loved the idea of making every word perfect. But then I was like, oh my God, this is exhausting. Like they had that stupid equity cot. I'd take a nap in between shows.
The equity cot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, my
For those
life-
of you who don't know, the equity cot is is something that the union mandates that there's a cot in the backstage of every show.
And
You're like,
Lisa
man,
would sleep in between the matinee and the evening and all the time plotting about how could I get out of this
That's
world.
so fun.
People don't know how hard theater is.
It is really hard. But you know what's funny, and I would love to ask you about this in the regard of doing 8 shows a week, is like I mentioned to you off camera that I'm working on a show right now called The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which is a super duper comedy that is based in English musical humor and very like raucous and a little bit raunchy and things like that. But I'm already seeing the things that, and our run is not very long, but I'm already seeing the things where I'm like, I'm going to make a meal out of this, in the sense that even on Thursday, it'll be this, but on Friday, I think I'll come up with this new idea because yesterday, what I thought it was is not what I think it is today. Did you find that within the comedy, especially because you wrote the piece, did you find that within the comedy, the more you, like, there's something to repetition that awakens new ideas, I feel like.
No, that is true. And I recently heard Sting say, because someone asked Sting, don't you get mad that people want to hear Roxanne every night?
Yeah.
For 40 something years. And he goes, no, I find something different in it every night. And I was
Right.
like, whoa, Sting? That's
Right.
so cool.
Yeah.
Because he could really, there's some bands who, are phoning it in on those hits. So it's like that. It's like you find this little thing. You're an actor. I'm an actor with a small a. It's just like I'm not trained like that or whatever.
Sure,
but still, it
sure.
was kind of fun to go, ooh, that was cute. That was a little different.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did, you know what my favorite thing was? Doing that thing where you collect the money in the red buckets.
Oh,
at the
yeah,
end.
BCFA. Yeah.
I love that because I made up all the prizes and I
oh.
would do them. So I go, if you want me to call your ex-boyfriend who cheated on you and call him a prick, I will. If you wanted me to record your outgoing message, I'll do that for $100.
I'm sure you got many takers.
That was really fun.
Right.
So I like doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I always tell people like who I coach, I'm like, notice what you like doing. Like notice, go where it's warm. Don't go where it's cold. Go where it's warm. If warm to you feels like 3 shows on a weekend and not an 8 show a week thing, that's what you want to do. Make your thing happen.
Right.
So I
right.
think we don't always have to bend to the confines of
Right.
Broadway, off Broadway.
Yeah, for sure. I heard you say this on an interview once, and I think it's just an interesting talking point, which is that I heard you say, I wasn't really a woman comic, I was just a comic. And I think that that's super interesting, especially considering that in much of your career and the roasts and the specials that you had Grammy nominee for one of your specials. And,
Two.
Two.
I know I didn't win, but damn it, I lost twice.
Hey, that's still great. It's
pretty cool.
And I was gonna say it's I think losing twice is better than losing once. In fact, I was gonna say it's like that perspective is so interesting to me, especially considering that you were working in a time where it's not like now, where it wasn't as embraced, it wasn't as, for lack of a better word, nice. And so that perspective of not thinking of yourself as a woman comic, I'm wondering if that was something that you led with, you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people go into it now being like, I was never brought up under the pretense. I don't think I've realized I was like different or looked different in any way until I got older, and people started to tell me that, right? Through ways of like, oh, do you feel this? And I was like, no, I've never felt that. I didn't know. I'd never felt, but as I got older, people started to tell me that I was different more than I ever felt different. And so yeah, I was just wondering if you could speak to that.
I think I learned how to do comedy from men. Like I was the opening act for a few like really hard-hitting, laugh every 7 seconds guys. And so I was like, oh, that's the way you do comedy. And I always looked at jokes and go, if it's not funny to the men, because at the time it was like men are buying the tickets. Like this is years ago.
Sure.
I'm like, the guy's buying the tickets for him and the girlfriend.
Yeah.
So, and also my looks were unthreatening because I'm not conventionally attractive. I'm a little bit asexual-ish. Like, I'm not trying to bang all the time. Sure. I mean, I was, but not anymore. No. So I'm not always trying to, like, steal your boyfriend. Like, I think I was very non-threatening. The weight stuff helped. I think I always thought comedy would be harder for somebody like a Sarah Silverman or a Nikki Glaser because they're inarguably hot, but probably they don't think they are, which is why they're lovable. But I think I just was always like, well, I need to make everyone laugh. I want the guys to laugh, the black people to laugh, the gay guys to laugh. Like, I don't want this to be just women humor. Hey, how about being in the kitchen? Oh, my husband. Like, I don't care about your dumb husband and your purse collection, you dummy. Like, I liked Ricklesy type stuff. And those men who did comedy. So I think I just like kind of go, I guess that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So it was more like I thought of myself as a person. Right.
And I think sometimes, and this is really just my perspective, and I can air it out here because it's my podcast.
That's right.
But my point is like, just that I think that sometimes there's a little bit of it's a little bit of a hindrance is to think of yourself and put yourself in a box. And for some people it works really, really well and they thrive within that box. But I think, at least for me, knowing like, okay, well, I'm Hispanic. Okay, well, knowing that, oh, okay, well, I'm Jewish. I think that whether that's from as an actor's perspective going in for certain auditions like we talked about, or just your view upon the world, I think that not knowing how different I was but still growing up in the culture and knowing that kind of thing. Actually, sometimes I think that if someone did tell me, hey, just so you know, you're going to experience this. And I think it would have hindered me a little bit.
Yeah. I never thought my career was harder because I was a woman until, oh my God, this is so wild.
Yeah.
It was during the pandemic. I had retired.
Right.
The Taylor Swift song came out, something like If I Was a Man or something like that.
Okay.
I am literally driving and I just start bawling. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. What's going on? And I'm like, it would have been easier if I was a man. It dawned on me after I retired because people would go, would have been easier? And I go, no, man, I'm a badass. I'm the GOAT. Right. I'm a baller. And I was like, it was harder.
Interesting.
It was definitely harder.
Yeah.
So I was on Nikki Glaser's podcast, I think a little same week. And I just told her what happened because she's a big Swiftie. And she was like, yeah. Like, that was the first place I said that. And I was like, I finally admitted it. It's like if you grow up with a traumatic family or you grow up with a divorced family, whatever it is, it doesn't dawn on you that isn't normal.
Right.
And I was lucky enough, thank the Lord. For some reason, I just don't know why I was spared from any Me Tooing and all that stuff. I really was blessed. I got gifts.
Right.
But boy, just being a successful woman comic, it was really not easy.
Right.
And now I can finally admit it. Yeah, it wasn't cute to go home and cry all the time because everybody's mean.
Sure.
Like, it's not cute that you're at the cellar and they're just brutal and your boyfriend is like, do you want me to go down there and crack some heads? I'm like, no, I got to be tough. Right. I got to bring a book and pretend I'm reading. You know what I mean? Because I can't take a joke off stage if they're mean, Yeah. Why aren't you just being mean on stage? I never understood that either.
Right. Right.
Can't we all just be nice?
Yeah.
So I had a thin skin and it was just wild.
Yeah.
This is not pity me. It's going, well, at least some people, different groups have it a little easier. Some have it harder. And imagine being a black woman comic. Imagine being the one Jewish comic. It's just 10 times worse.
Different curveballs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super interesting. Yeah, I just found that to be an interesting perspective because, I because of the way that we view things now, it not to say that it's easier, but it's more accepting, and it's more, there's a part of it. It's like, and I've heard you talk about this on your podcast, is like, the self-conscious idea that I might offend you or something like that is maybe better than what used to happen. You know what I mean? It's like, just because I'm a little bit more careful with my words now, that might be a worthy sacrifice for rather than.
Well, I said recently that I think we should have T-shirts that say "Your trigger is not my problem." That being said, if say I said something that you got offended about, I should definitely apologize.
Sure.
I should definitely not be that guy who's like, "Your trigger ain't my problem, bitch." It's saying take responsibility for your triggers, do the emotional work, get the therapy, and then truthfully say, "Hey, that hurt, and here's why," and the person should apologize. But yeah, like that whole thing of like not taking responsibility for our own triggers. Yeah. Like if you suppose right now you said something to me, which by the way, best compliment ever, about how skinny I am, and it offended me. Yeah. Well, we would have a talk about it. It wouldn't be like, he's so mean. Right. It's like, no, he's not mean. He just thought you could take a joke about it. Right. By the way, just tell me I'm skinny and I'll love you.
You are skinny.
Thank you. I'm so skinny. I'm so beautiful. People forget how beautiful I am.
Right. That's why you have to watch the podcast, not just listen
watch
to
it.
But yeah, you're so absolutely right. And to remembering that this is an art form, what you say on stage is not necessarily what you mean, off stage. That's why when the off stage stuff is happening, it's that much more
it's
insulting.
So mean. I remember I loved people too, though, who could really take a joke. I mean, in the audience, I remember my second or third special, this couple showed up who come to my shows a ton of times. They were literally in the front row during a special, and they had red T-shirts on, and they brought their kid. Yeah. It said Jew 1, Jew 2, and Mini Jew. And I was like, oh my God. Like, now I have a menorah up 24/7 because of that. No, but it's just like, so when people like to be included, like they got the point. Like, if I leave you out, that's wrong.
Right.
So it's really, comedy's delicate.
Yes, very fragile. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this brings me to the idea of you retiring from comedy, which you announced, like you mentioned, 8 years ago on Howard Stern. And I was wondering if you could speak to what inspired that decision.
Can I just say one thing about you?
Yeah.
I am very impressed with this research, and I'll tell you why. No, I am, because I do a ton of these. I do a ton of interviews. Mm-hmm. I have literally... In the old days, there was some girl who didn't know anything about me. And I'd just go, as a former journalist, I said, I'm insulted. Like, do your freaking research. Sure. You can look me up. Yeah. Like, there's stuff out there. Dude, I'm very impressed how deep this is. Oh, because you didn't have to.
Oh, of course.
People who take their job seriously is very impressive to me.
Oh,
like,
thanks.
why half-ass it? Mm-hmm. But that being said, I forgot the question because I was busy freaking being nice to you.
Well, you know what's funny? That's why you should. That's why you can't be nice.
I guess it's be nice to a Jew day. No,
but it's funny. Like, I should mention this. I really should. Mention
about
this
the retirement.
Yes.
Okay.
But I should mention this to that point. It's like it's really such a pleasure to do this research. I can't imagine not doing this research. I would feel so scared. It's the days when I would go into doing an interview and I would feel like someone, it's even like we've had people on the podcast before correct me and I get so embarrassed because I've been like, oh God, I should have known that it was 2006, not 2008.
Specific. Yeah. But also what's good, I tell my students there's a difference between no expectations and low expectations. Right. I came in here with no expectations. I do not expect you to research it. No, why would I? Like, I'm not owed anything. I was like, hey man, let's do this. Yeah. I was like, oh, maybe I'll have to tell them, hey, look this up. That's fine. I don't take no offense. I think it's ridiculous. Low expectations are bad. It's me going, that guy's probably not going to do anything. What a douchebag. But this is such exceeding of expectation.
Thank you.
That's a really nice place to
land. I have to be honest, I would hope, and I will put this out there, is like I would hope that people who come on the podcast, people who watch the podcast, expect that, and I would rather you come in expecting that I will know rather than me
That's
not know,
fantastic that you do.
And I should also shout this out as a kid, I grew up on a lot of strangely enough, I grew up on a lot of like Barbara Walters interviews. I used to watch those Barbara, especially when she would do what was the most people at the end of the year. And so like I used to watch those and just be so in awe of everything. Her and this guy, and I'll shout him out, Scott Feinberg. He works at the Hollywood Reporter, and he still does a podcast called Awards Chatter. He's like their chief awards critic, analyst, and he does so much research that he would get to the nitty gritty of something, and I would always be like, oh, I was just so interested. And I got to meet him a couple years ago and tell him that. It'd be like, gosh, you listen to that man's podcast and you will always find something in a nook or cranny that he discovered that is just that is valuable to the person and the listener.
The research part was so much fun. When my first job, summer job at a newspaper when I was at Syracuse, was it was a paper called the Bridgeport Post, and Fred Gwynn, who's a Harvard-trained actor. You know, was obviously Herman Munster, but he also was playing Claudius in freaking Hamlet. So he was a Shakespearean actor. He was in My Cousin Vinny as the judge. He was what I'd call a fine actor. So highly trained. I researched him. And back then you had to go to the library and look it up on microfilm.
Wow.
There was no internet.
Right.
This is in the 80s.
Right.
And he said to me, how did you find out all this stuff about me that he wrote children's books, which I knew. I knew he had a special needs child. I knew everything about him. I knew the kind of car he drove. And I was like, wow, that's really important to people that you know their stuff. So I took that as a nice compliment that he liked that. Yeah. And he got a kick out of it.
Right. It's important. There's something about it that's important, I think, for the people who are reading or listening to your stuff, and also for the person.
But you want to know what's interesting, too? I have said ever since I saw Hamilton opening night, yeah, that's right, I'm famous. That's incredible, though. That is a flex. No, I couldn't believe I was invited.
That's crazy.
I honestly was like, why am I here? Mariska Hargitay's here. Why am I invited? Gosh. And also, crazy. I got on the red carpet. I said the dumbest thing, so it went viral, which was great, but it was cute.
What'd you say?
I said, they go, what do you think about Alexander Hamilton? I go, he was one of the best presidents we've ever had. Okay, I'm that stupid that I'm like, okay, you're uneducated.
It's because you hadn't seen the show.
Right, I saw it and I got educated.
Before, I will say, though, that's actually not that stupid, because I think that before the show, before 2015, very few people knew that Alexander Hamilton wasn't a president. I mean, yeah.
But when I went to that show, I was sobbing at the part, and I couldn't figure out then, but I know now, about legacy. It's not in our control. Who lives, who dies, who tells our story, right? Mm-hmm. Ever since Hamilton, I have been so proud of myself that I literally, and I mean this, do not care about my professional legacy at all.
Interesting.
I don't care if anyone remembers anything I did as a comic, as a journalist, as anything. All I care about is that literally somebody goes, she helped me. She was nice. She made me laugh. She gave me the bigger tip at the place. You know, she looked me in the eye when she talked to me, when I was given the coffee. Helping people. Oh my God. I live a life right now, literally 98% service, because I'm privileged enough to do it. Dude, I want that to be on the tombstone.
Right.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that you did all this research, but man, it's so nice to be like, oh, that was all cute stuff that happened. And now there's this.
Right.
Like I get to go and be nice all the time.
Yeah. That's super interesting. And I think that's the thing that people remember. I mean, like especially working in the industry and seeing a different lens about like starting out being like, oh my gosh, Hugh Jackman is going to come star in The Music Man. Right. And then going, oh, my friend is in The Music Man with Hugh Jackman, and turning around and saying he is the kindest. He was the most wonderful. He was so especially kind. It does hold a little bit more true. You always ask the question of like, what are they like?
Well, this is what happened with Nikki.
Yeah.
When we first met on the Stern Show, that was the date I retired, because we roasted. They said, we'll announce your retirement, then do your last roast. And it was of Ronnie the limo driver.
Interesting.
So I met Nikki that day. We're both doing the roast. And she said to me, she goes, you have to come on my podcast right now. Like come in the other room and do it. Like it's on Sirius Radio. And she goes, you don't remember, but I opened for you in Kansas City. And, trust me, I was so tired all the time, on the road constantly. I had tons of anger. I had a lot of misplaced grief, all this stuff, and never had processed some trauma and all. So I was like, I said to her, I'm praying I was nice to you. Because it's up for grabs. Was I nice? Right. And she goes, oh my God, you were so nice. All you do was talk to me and give me advice and help. And I go, thank God.
Yeah.
So thank God, since retirement, I worked on a lot of that grief work and traumatic stuff.
Interesting.
And I go, oh, wow. I don't have to, I will apologize for any of that anger or any of that stuff I did.
Right.
But boy, it's nice moving forward going, 98% of my life, I don't have that. That's kind of cool that I'm not snapping at people. But it's all, we put off working on ourselves and we don't have to.
Right.
But yeah, it was real nice that she wasn't like, oh yeah, you were a total bitch. Oh, sorry.
Oh gosh. Well, to that point, about that and about touring, is that what contributed to your decision?
No, it was literally, I always say this, I started to become a noticer of my own life. So I'm noticing every time I'm packing for a trip or preparing for a TV show, I don't have that same spark. I'm like, do I have to?
Yeah.
And when you start saying, I guess I have to do it, it's not the same as, oh, I get to do this.
Yeah.
And I just said to my business manager, like 5 years before, as I said, I just want out. Like, tell me, let's make a plan. And I'm my mother was Depression era, so she taught me how to save. And I was lucky enough that I had saved money. And he's like, okay, if you sell this house or that one, let's do this. And so 5 years later, I was able to announce it. And I was so happy. But I think it's just everybody noticing what doesn't light them up anymore, that it wasn't like the mission anymore. And the mission seems now to be just like help.
Yeah.
Like fill in where that student needs help or that person needs coaching. And
right.
Like I do 90% of my coaching free. If I'm coaching a lawyer and they're trying to get unstuck, I'm going to charge you because that's only right.
Yeah.
But if it's like a kid who just got out of, conservatory and they're struggling with their self-esteem, that's on me.
Yeah.
So that's what lights me up. Like I get this thing in my eyes. I'm like, ooh, cute. That's how I pick anything. It sounds so girly and I'm so not girly. Oh, but maybe I am. I'm so skinny. No. If somebody, like with Celebrity Weakest Link, my manager calls me about it and I'm going, cute. The minute I say cute, I know I should do it. Seriously, like your podcast, when I saw the clip of Clay Elder, who I'm friendly with, I was like, cute. And I got in touch with you.
Oh, good.
So it has to have that element of sweetness or niceness or paying it forward or whatnot.
Right. And well, is that something that you knew you were going to get into retiring? Was teaching and coaching something that you were interested in?
I was trying to be like, I at first gone, I just want to be a quote life coach till I realized life coaches are all women over 40, divorced, unhappy, who haven't accomplished anything and want to tell you how to run your damn life.
Right.
So I was like, that ain't working for me.
Right.
So then I was like, I'm not going to do anything. Yeah. That lasted a while. That lasted like 10 minutes until you're so freaking upset because you don't garden. I said, you don't get rich and famous and accomplish what I did by having hobbies. So I had never developed hobbies. I had said to Nikki Glazer once, set up yourself for retirement better than I did. I said, not financially, but have hobbies, have interests, have things, cute little things you do to escape life and the career. Because I was like, what do I do with all my time? I'm so bummed. And thank God I wrote a play about it, which I only performed as workshop to get the issue over with. And then I was like, I get to just be open and see what comes in. And I don't even have to tell you, the most magical stuff comes in when you are not looking.
Interesting.
But you're not closed.
Yeah.
So when the play comes up, do you want to help produce this Lenny Bruce play? Oh, it's a good play. Sounds good. Do you want to teach at Norwalk Conservatory? Oh my God, sounds good. Weakest Link. All the silly things I'm doing now.
Right.
The coaching, the finding out more about how to coach people correctly about creativity and lead workshops. I'm like, oh my God, that just came in because I was open.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're open, wrong things come in and then you say, oh, no, thanks.
Right.
So it's a cool journey.
Yeah,
you don't have
to
push so much.
Yeah. Well, what do you think you've learned about comedy through helping other people?
I think that there are more voices out there than we thought. And that you don't have to be, you can be somebody who works at it real hard. If you don't have, quote, the gift,
right,
you can work so hard that you could at least have a career and make it your living.
Yeah.
You may not have that it factor, but guess what? If you put in the work, we'll freaking get there.
Right.
And I just love that there's always a little hope. Like, I don't love hope that much because I'm like, it's false hope. But there's a little hope if you work hard enough. Maybe it'll work. Yeah. Like I always go, I keep putting it out there to people when I meet directors or whatever. I joke with them and I'll go, if you ever have a show that's one song, one line that I can memorize, I'll do it. Like, so I did Barnum because there's this song Black and White and she only has one line and the song. So I did that like for a theater in Connecticut. I was like, perfect. I can memorize a song.
Oh,
and
that's
guess
cool.
what? I kept forgetting my line, so I gave it away to one of the cast members. I said, say that. I'm the boss. You say that.
And here actors are like, I'll take the line.
They
I'll
sure
very much
do
take
love
the
that. They love saying my lines.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's just interesting. The whole journey is really kind of fun.
Right.
It's just openness. Try not to despair, man.
Yeah.
Because the right thing comes in. It might not look the way you want it, but it's going to be the right thing.
Yeah, that's super interesting. In talking about the People Versus Lenny Bruce, I want to ask you what your job as an associate producer is.
Anything they tell me to do, and a lot of stuff I want to do that they won't let me. So what happened was, it's a board that just happens to be everyone's 60 and up. I'm lucky enough I'm around a lot of young people. So I know tons about social media. Yeah. I know tons about video. I know how to hire people who can do it for cheap. And hey, you're a student, you'll do it and you'll do me a favor. And So I try to talk them into a lot of that stuff.
Sure.
And it's hard to build social media presence,
Yeah.
especially when you started doing it 2 weeks ago for a show that's next week.
Sure.
But I go, then it'll lay the groundwork for your next production.
Right.
Because they're doing 3 plays. This is a theater
that are within
company.
the same theme.
Yeah, because Cause Celeb Productions does social justice plays. So one's about Lenny Bruce, freedom of speech. One's about abortion rights. One's about reproductive rights. One's about, so they're going to keep doing these different plays. So I'm like, you'll build on what we do. So I try to sort of get in there and like help with press and just do whatever I'm asked.
Right.
And again, I just go to rehearsal sometime and see where I can fill in.
Yeah.
The director wanted some advice, but I don't think he wants it really. So I'm just like, I'll just sit here and agree with you, whatever it takes. And to just maybe bring awareness to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like this idea, and I love numbers and moving parts and engineering things. So I hope they let me do more of that in the coming plays.
And we should mention you could follow them on Instagram at Lenny Bruce Play on Instagram. And yeah, you guys start previews this week. What are you most excited for audiences to see in regards to the play?
That a play about Lenny Bruce can have a lot of meaning and also laughs.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, to me, I have this little adopted nephew I have. He's 14, and I'll take him to plays, and he's a very straight little boy, but his uncle who raised him is gay. He's adopted. And so this kid is very woke. But he says to me all the time in his little straighty voice, he goes, I only like the plays that are both funny and sad. And I'm like, wow, you're right, because that's what I like.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to see a play with no heart.
Right.
And so I'm like, this show has so much heart and so much, just beauty about this poor man he was a martyr for all of us comics who came after. And also then there's the humorous moments, and it's very, it's many different things.
He was so fascinating because he was so funny and also so truthful. And I think that had never actually been seen in this capacity before. Right. It's like he set the stage for your George Carlin and Dave Chappelle. And, you know, like, it's like these guys that are a very specific style of comedy and also still fit the umbrella of comedian, but they're not, they're not pulling out like yaka yaka jokes.
I was just going to say, before that, it seemed like a majority of the famous comics were a bit, not corny, but there was a bit of waka waka.
And performative.
Yeah, and then it was just like realness. Like I have one student in my class, I won't mention her name, but I think she has the most unique comedy voice I've seen in a long time, and she's just a freshman in college. Yeah. And you see her trying to just find the words and get to it. And she takes such risks by everything doesn't have to be written out. And I'm like, oh, she's it's that Lenny Bruce vibe of finding the right word and just, you see the wheels turning, and it's really cool. Yeah. So I just like that he was that type who's just getting to it and making the big points.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is and we should, like, in regards to this play, you're specifically talking about a case where can you actually tell me the details of the case? Because I'm not sure that I know it exactly, but from what I understand, he was in court because he was too vulgar.
They said it was that, but Martin Garbitz, who the court case is, who tried the case, it's like we were set up to fail because the Catholic Church was sort of like in with the courts, and they needed a scapegoat to distract from politics. So it's all this complicated stuff I'm not involved with, but they pretty much were making him the scapegoat and they blatantly lie in the courtroom. Like Dan Grimaldi from The Sopranos, the guy who played the twins, Patsy and Phil. He's so funny as the CIA guy who's lying on the stand and going, you did do things of a masturbatory nature. And Dan's really funny the way he does it. And it's Lenny, the poor guy playing Lenny Bruce, is like, I knew I would never do that. Like, that's not something. By the way, all the Lenny Bruce stuff now seems so tame compared to what we do now.
That's the craziest thing.
Yeah, it was very mild. It was a urine joke, supposedly. Right. And he's getting crucified for that.
Right.
So Martin was like, we did a great interview with Martin Garbus that we'll put on social media. He couldn't have won. It just was not. No one was letting him get a word in. He couldn't testify. He couldn't take the stand because then they would have massacred him.
Crazy.
So poor Lenny Bruce is in this position, and poor thing dies at a very young age.
Right.
Because
in the middle of this case,
heart,
like in the middle of appealing the case,
41 years old.
Crazy.
And you just go, wow, you could die of a broken heart.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
And in the same breath, what the precedent that he set, not only with this case, but with his comedy, with his performance, with all the things that he did, really did set the stage for so much. And you're right. It's such a shame, too, in a way, that it's a shame and not that if he had existed now, it would not in any way he'd actually be considered kind of like clean.
Tame.
Yeah.
He would be very tame.
Right.
Because the joke that he's trying to get to is something about, I don't know, peeing in the sink or something. Like, it's just like, it's really funny by the end. But it's like, that's so not offensive. I remember I once had a joke. It was so dumb. Like, on my first special ever, it was like, hey, I pee in the shower. And so I say, hey, black guy, if you weren't in danger of stopping up the drain with your penis, would you pee in the shower? Hey, Jewish guy, if you had a penis, would you pee in the shower? Hey, Spanish guy, if you took showers, would you, like, so. And back then it was acceptable in insult comedy.
Sure.
But, so, like, it was like mine wasn't even that risky, you know? So imagine how tame poor Lenny Bruce's stuff was.
Yeah.
But yeah, there'd be no Carlin. There'd be none of those guys.
Right.
And that's what I love about this kid, Johnny Anthony, playing the lead. He gets comedy from way back. Like, this kid is a student of comedy.
Yeah.
So he's a Carlin worshiper.
Yeah.
And it's the greatest. We have some clips on social where they all the actors try to do the 7 dirty words by Carlin, and none of them know any of them. And it's like, come on, man. No one will say the C word.
Well, someone should do like kind of like a, you know how Judd Apatow has been doing these like beautiful pieces on like Carlin, and he just did his Mel Brooks one, which was amazing.
Loved it.
And someone should do that about Lenny Bruce too, because it feels like such a 41 years old. I didn't even know that. I'm not even sure that's something new. But what's funny, or even in his 40s, you know, still it's just like too young. But what's funny is like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel brought so much attention.
Correct.
I'll tell you frankly, I didn't know about Lenny Bruce until that show, and then that show made me research. And it's obviously fictionalized on so many different fronts. But when I did look it up, I was like, oh wow, like there's such an air to him, and he's so cool. That's why the performance in him is so specific. That's why you either choose to like be an impersonation or you know, make it your own.
I'm so happy these guys aren't doing that. And again, like the guy playing the lawyer is this guy Steven Schnetzer, who was on Another World for 40 years as a lawyer.
Crazy.
And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing an impression of Martin, and I do not really feel pressure. I love this vibe he has. He goes, I don't feel pressure that he's going to be watching me play him. I feel supported because Martin is a very warm, soft guy.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, these actors are so deep and good. And I think it's a play that needs to be seen now.
Yeah.
And I, again, go, if a little part of my legacy is, I brought a tiny bit of attention to a cool show about a big issue. Great.
Right.
So I think it's kind of cool.
Do you feel, this is a silly question maybe to ask, but do you feel the part of you that you mentioned is like interested in, I really can't wait to do this thing? Is that what you're experiencing now with all of the different ventures that you've taken up?
Yeah, there's nothing in my calendar that I look at and I go, I guess I have to.
Right.
And if it starts to feel that way, I go, oh, okay, let's just leave before we hate it. Like you asked me before about my podcast. I did a podcast on iHeart that I just ended. We did it for a year. Yeah. I had fun. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm done. Nobody kicked me out. Nobody told me I couldn't. But I was like, oh, I'm done with that. Yeah. I just think I always sold houses, got divorces, did breakups, left comedy before I hated it. And I think we have to listen to our bodies about that. Yeah. And I don't think we listen to Below the Neck that often.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
it's like, that doesn't feel right. Well, something's telling you to listen to it.
Right.
Because the body shuts down. And it's, as they say, the body keeps the score.
Right.
Pretty soon you kind of can't speak, or you kind of have a hole in your heart. And it's like, I better pay attention to what lights me up.
That's such an interesting thing, because it's not often that you see performers of any nature, of any media or any style, like not necessarily want to perform anymore. Do you ever have that, like, oh, I want to get up on a stage. I want to do that?
No, except I do say that I go to drag bingo every month, once a month, to support the Connecticut Gay Men's Chorus. My friend sings in it. I kind of get mad every time because they do a joke contest and don't let me be the judge. They judge it by applause. And every day, my friend Bobby, who's a pot stirrer, he goes, they should really let you judge, honey. And I'm like, I know. So those are the kind of things that I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
Right.
One thing I do like, I'm doing a talk back once a week through the run of the show after the show. And again, I don't know much about courts or any of that stuff. I just know how comedy is. We'll talk about comedy and how it affects, Lenny Bruce affected comedy. But I do like the talk back idea. I love interviews like this. I like vibing with people. But the idea of being up and let's perform, I don't
Not
need
as
it.
interested.
It's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is a strange little anecdote, but I saw a clip of you doing comedy at like Gotham Comedy Club like a year ago, but that must not be an accurate timeline.
No.
Yeah.
If it's stand up, it's definitely from
Way before.
years ago. They just
they just posted it a year ago.
Yeah. I love those guys, man. Gotham is
I've actually never been.
Oh my God, you have to.
Yeah.
It's the classiest, what a great word. It's the classiest club in the city. It's beautiful. They treat you like very nice.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
A bit posh,
I've seen it
which
before.
I like.
I've never been.
And the owner, Chris Mazzilli's great. He's going to do talk back too, because he's a big freedom of speech guy.
Oh,
because he's always fighting people about it.
Right.
So I kind of, it's all in the works. Yeah.
Right.
Things feel like right.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you, because you're producing this piece now, has it made you want to produce more theater?
You know what? I think I'm just sort of somebody who likes to work on stuff, because there's the main producer, then there's all us little weirdos running around trying to fill in and stuff and do what we're allowed to do. I like being around. Oh my God, this is horrible. I am addicted to the approval of hot gay actors. I am. So here's what happened. This is why I say this. I recently had a big ego week where I went to Clay Elder's birthday party because we're friends.
Right.
And I meet all these enormously hot gay men there, including Cheyenne Jackson, who, when a Cheyenne Jackson smiles at you, the world opens up. And he's like, Lisa Lampanelli. Like when someone like that yells your name across the room, who I didn't even know knew who I was, because I'm a deep cut. I'm like, hello. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm a theater gal now, aren't I? And then I went to see Titanic again on Broadway. And of course, Frankie Grande was like, Lisa, meet my mother. And then John Riddle. And I'm like, oh my God, all the gay, beautiful men love me. I go, well, that's really not a reason to be involved with theater. So,
or maybe it is. Who knows?
Because they were always my fans.
There's pride bills are a thing. You know what I mean? Like, they're a thing for a reason.
So I was like funny, because I was like, what really does appeal to me about theater is, as corny as it sounds, it's just the story. The story is so good. So if there was like, again, if I end up taking Stuffed again and developing it with this other actor, if we end up bringing something else to stage, it's like, oh, I don't mind the idea of being involved with that stuff. Yeah. And again, I just stay open and go, let me see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
She's open to it. You heard?
Yeah, she is. She got nothing else to do.
Well, you mentioned Titanic, and Cheyenne, who's doing, I believe he's doing O'Mary right now. Yeah. I was wondering if there's anything recently that you've seen that that's really caught your eye, or things
I'll tell you what changed my life is Bigfoot the musical.
Really?
It is.
I've not seen it.
So deep. It closed. It had a limited run.
Right.
They extended once but couldn't because the main actor had to go. It is so deep about politics, but it sneaks it in.
Yeah.
But it's not so sneaky that everybody doesn't figure out, oh yeah, this is very pro-environment, not about how our leaders aren't really working for us, how they're working for the money. But it's so shoehorned in a beautiful way. Amber Ruffin wrote the whole thing.
Right.
Artful, man. And I saw it, and I literally went to see it once. by an hour after I bought tickets for the next night because I was like, I've got to see this again and bask in it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was saying to the cast, I was like, I hope this goes on. I know you guys have other things.
Right.
But boy, that thing should find a home.
Right.
It has to tour.
Yeah.
It's so meaningful. That changed a lot for me. Titanic, believe it or not, I saw it off Broadway 4 times because I'm a good gay man. But on Broadway, it's even better. I was scared.
I loved it.
Dude.
I actually didn't see it off Broadway. I missed it. So I was seeing it for the first time on Broadway a couple weeks ago, and I just thought it was so funny. Like I just thought it was so, I don't know, it wasn't cynical. It was just like,
no, first of all, it's super clever.
Yeah.
There isn't a joke they don't milk to the nth degree. They commit. That's why I always said I loved Will Ferrell in everything, because he commits.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You just go for it, and that's Titanic. But also, guess what? Titanic, there's a little moment I tear up. There is when she starts to sing the last or the more meaningful song towards the end, and I'm like, oh, I needed that little bit of heart.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a success for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm laughing 900 times, and then
and it's also the caliber of performer that's in Titanic. I mean, like, Jim Parsons, we know Jim Parsons is brilliant. He's spent 12 years on a sitcom, doing one of the most brilliant characters to exist in the situational comedy.
Yeah.
However, him in this piece, I've never seen anything like it in his entire career. I thought he was unbelievable.
Oh my God, that for me, that's the best character. The guys who played it off Broadway were the guys who are like the very, like Drew. I don't know how Drew's last name. It's spelled Droege. He's in all these. He writes all these gay shows and does them. And he was brilliant. I think he didn't originate it, but he was pretty early on. And so that character of a man playing the woman, the mom of the girl. What's the main character? Rose's mom. And playing it so over the top and bitchy. It's so much fun. But the whole thing has so much to it.
Yeah. And like him, I mean, while we're filming this, the Tony nominations are coming out very soon. And I don't know yet, but I pray that like he gets a nomination and Marla Mendel gets a nomination.
God.
Oh my God. I want her in this chair so bad. She's just excellent. But that show is hysterical. It's just like, yeah.
And what's weird enough, I am basic too. Like I like some basic ass stuff. My little nephew, who I said I had in to go to a lot of shows, he wanted to, and he's 14, so I have to say yes, he wanted to see Aladdin. Can I tell you, there is nothing wrong with Aladdin.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it with just Michael, the guy who just left the Genie.
Yeah, yeah.
He just left yesterday.
Right.
I think it was 4,000 performances, something like that.
Yeah, he was in it for a long time.
Now he's in that show Scrubs, the reboot of Scrubs.
I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, I did. I did see him post that.
He's so good.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is going to be here forever for a reason.
Right.
I think people write off Disney stuff. I think they write off shows that, oh yeah, it's just for tourists.
Commercial,
Dude, that stuff is good. Like you tell me The Lion King isn't brilliant.
Right. And they for what it's worth, especially like Aladdin was your first Broadway show, wasn't it?
Aww.
Yeah. And so it does that too, which I think is really interesting. It's like, when we had Jeffrey Seller to talk about Hamilton, to talk, when I mentioned Hamilton, like Hamilton was the show that made me start to go see Broadway shows. And I think it did that for plenty of people.
Oh, yeah.
And Disney does that in a big way too, is like you go see a Disney show and you're like, that's so interesting. I want to see another Broadway show.
Well,
and then you go down the block.
Correct. Like we went to Aladdin one night and then the kid picked Bigfoot the musical. I wouldn't have gone unless he said. Yeah. And I'm like, look at what even just being open to a kid asking you to take them something.
Right.
That opened me up to like meet these people and be like, oh, we'll talk about something. And me and that person who's in it, we'll talk about maybe working on stuff. I go, this is just the universe giving you gifts. Stop saying no to stuff unless it's obviously harmful. So it's very interesting. The thing too, we write off shows that we think we should roll our eyes. Yeah. It's like, not really.
Right.
A student of mine was just in a really good production of Frozen, a regional production in Connecticut at the Ridgefield Theater. Good ass theater. Yeah. High end. And I had never seen Frozen. Yeah. The movie, the musical, nothing.
That's funny.
Did you ever see it?
Yeah, of course. Seen both.
Guess what? At intermission, I'm like, oh my God. Which prince is she going to pick? My friends are like, you know this, right? And I go, I have no idea. I said, she better pick that guy because he seemed really nice.
Right,
I go, that one in
right.
the woods is a pain in the ass. I
Yeah.
go, I don't like him. And they're going, you don't know
You have
the
no idea
ending
what's going to happen.
do you know how much fun it is to see something you don't know how it ends?
Yeah.
I screamed.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And by the way, I bumped into the actor who played the prince, his husband. I bumped into him.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to tell my husband you were surprised at
that Hans was the villain.
He really sure did pull it off.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun to just be open and see silly stuff and
Right.
go, well, there's something to this. There's a reason it's iconic.
Oh yeah, and then too, and in the same breath, it's like we went to a panel recently where some of the original members of A Chorus Line were talking about the show. So Bjork Lee and Priscilla Lopez, Donna McKechnie, Kelly Bishop, they were all there, and something that they said is that at the time everybody came to New York knowing exactly what they were going to see, and they had their tickets bought. So when A Chorus Line came in, nobody was rushing to see A Chorus Line because people didn't know it. And then it was the people who went, all right, can you get me a ticket to something? I don't know. I thought that I was going to see X, Y, and Z, but now I can't. Whatever. They're like, oh, well, there's always going to be a ticket to A Chorus Line. And then all of a sudden, that word of mouth became the thing that made everyone go see.
That's right.
And that made it one of the most successful Broadway shows to have ever existed.
Yeah. And also, Kelly Bishop's book is so phenomenal.
I've not read it.
I loved her from the Gilmore Girls, and she does the audible book herself, so it's fun to listen to her. And the way we all know how he gathered all the information from the actors and interviewed them over these big long nights and stuff. Do you know she had to audition to play herself?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, that's why I say to some of my students, I go, yeah, you may help develop a show and then not get your part.
Right.
So you got to know how much you'll give.
Insane.
And it's so nuts.
Yeah.
And
insane.
thankfully she got it. Then she got the Tony.
Right.
But I'm like, oh my God, like this business is so crazy.
Insane.
Just all I could say to people out there, if you're in this business, don't give up, but quilt also, or garden, or do something cute that you get some joy out of.
Yeah.
This can't be 100% because comedy was 100% for me. And at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, that wasn't that fulfilling. It was fine. It was great.
That's such an interesting thing.
It was fine.
To say, yeah.
It was a great career. Thank God I saved money.
Yeah.
Thank God I could do, this privileged position of not having to work. But also, you got to have a well-rounded life. And I just didn't. And it's regretful for sure.
Yeah. Did you feel that if you would have had other interests in that regard, that you wouldn't have retired from comedy?
You never know.
Yeah.
I probably would have still retired, but it would have been to a retirement that had some built-in stuff already.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like sitting in the house going, what do I like to do? Like, what did I like in childhood?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me revisit this. And thank God
Right.
some of those things came in.
Right. Yeah.
But wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's wild. We have a tradition on the podcast where we always manifest a dream guest, and we always have our guest manifest a dream guest for us. So it could be anyone. We've gotten the likes of Carol Burnett to, I always say Carol Burnett and Jonathan Groff and, Lady Gaga.
I love Ms. Gaga.
I know. Those are the ones that we've had manifest. And then we've been lucky to have some dream guests. I think 5 already. We've had 5 dream guests on the show. So, yeah, you could be anyone. Manifest
Could I instead manifest a better host? Just kidding. No, she still got
That's
it.
an honor. That's an honor,
It
y'all.
is. See, he understands insults are an honor.
Yes.
He gets it. Okay,
yeah,
thank
I'm almost
you.
geeked out. I'm
Thank
like,
you
I watched so much of your stuff, and I'm like, wow.
No, you're amazing. I'm going to manifest someone who, if you got her, you could just retire happily. I just saw Devil Wears Prada 2. And when I tell you, of course it's not going to be as good as Devil Wears Prada 1. Shut up, everybody. It's still great. Lady Gaga is in it. You got the Anne Hathaways. You got the Meryl Streep, the Emily Blunt, who's, by the way, the best ever. I love her so much.
She's so great.
Stanley Tucci. Well, I manifest for you Meryl Streep. Because can I tell you, this is what's great about Devil Wears Prada. When I used to interview assistants, like to try to hire people when I needed assistants, my manager would call them first and say, have you seen Devil Wears Prada? And they'd say, no. And she'd say, watch that because Meryl Streep's character is who you're going to be working for if you work for Lisa. Because I still am.
That's crazy.
No, because I'm not that mean, but I'm still of the feeling of, is it that hard? Like, why is
so
no
funny.
one ready? Like, I'm always like, what's wrong with you? So I love her for you. I would love for her ass to be in this chair.
I would too.
And by the way, I heard she's really nice.
I have heard she's really nice, and also there's a rumor going around these streets that she is coming back to the stage. So I very much would love to have Meryl Streep. She was in like a Devil Wears Prada 2 press junket, and she was like, the thing that interests me the most right now is coming to the stage, and I would love to do it with Marty Short. And I was like,
what?
Anything. Pick any. Read the phone book. I'll buy the tickets.
No, she is just, you know what? I loved her since before you were born, like Kramer versus Kramer, like the crazy stuff. And I just go, boy, she must be grounded.
Yeah.
Just because she comes off so beautifully in all those award shows, she always loses deferentially. Like she always is so humble.
Yeah.
And I'm like, boy, that's a nice
And what's
vibe.
interesting about her is that when you're someone like her who's in a place that she's in, it's like she really just does what she wants to do, which is kind of amazing.
Isn't that
Or
the
like
coolest?
she's really not concerned about how do you build a career from where she is right now? She has like the best career.
I think
You know
it's the
what I mean?
whole thing of having nothing to prove.
Right.
And I think if we could just instill in the younger performers
Yeah.
that they just have to be them and not prove they're good, just be good, be who they are. I just think learn from like a Meryl Streep, even though she's iconic. Part of me thinks like in the old days, even she was probably like, I'm just being me.
Yeah.
I'm trained. I know what I'm doing. If you like me, great. If not, that's okay too.
Right.
I think we all have to have that in us.
Yeah, I agree. In the vein of, because I just thought of this when I was asking about shows that you would recommend, I have to tell you to see this show. I'm going to recommend a show for you right now because this is one that I cannot stop thinking about. And I don't know that I've really talked about it on the podcast yet, but it's called The Ballisters. And it's happening on Broadway right now. It's on 47th, I think 47th Street at Samuel J. Friedman, MTC. It's David Lindsay-Abaire, who's just one of our greatest living playwrights. And it is one of the funniest shows I've ever seen on Broadway, and so deep and so smart. And it's about a community, what is it, like a community board that meets up to discuss whether or not they should put up a stop sign at a four-way, intersection.
Wow.
That's all I'll give you, but it's Anika Noni Rose is the
Yes.
star of it. And it is, I cannot recommend it enough. I had literally like the time of my life watching. I was literally sitting there just going like, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. Never end, please.
Wow.
It is amazing.
I
And
did hear it was great.
people should know that they do a $35 under 35 policy. So if you're under 35, you can get $35 tickets. Or if you
How
look
about
under
30?
35.
How about 35 for over 64? How's that?
But
well,
honestly-
that's the coolest thing I found out about. By the way, I did see one of the actors on the Today Show or one of those shows talking about it. It sounds hilarious.
It is brilliant. It's brilliant.
And
yeah.
who
And I
knows?
hope they get a bunch of Tony noms tomorrow.
And by the way, they got extended.
Yeah, they just
which
extended.
is so cool.
And hopefully, if the Tonys work out for them and whatnot, they'll hopefully extend more.
Yeah.
But I'd love to chat. I'm putting this out there. I'd love to chat with anyone from that show because
Yeah.
it's just a blast.
I bet they would.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's really interesting too. This like under 35 over this.
Yeah.
I found out that I changed somebody's life at a party a couple weeks ago.
Oh, is that
because
right?
I'm looking into getting a master's in family therapy, not to do with practice or anything, but just to understand my students
learn about
better.
it. Yeah.
Just so that when they are stuck, I can sort of help more psychologically based.
Interesting.
I found out like people over 62 in Connecticut, like I could go to any of the state colleges for free. So I told somebody that, and she wrote me a letter and she's like, oh my God, you changed my life. I'm going to like do this master's now or whatever it is.
What the heck?
And I'm like, I'm a freaking life changer, man.
I did it.
You know what? I'm going to do that on my tombstone, which by the way, I have installed already because I don't want to be anybody's problem. I'm going to have put,
God.
I changed lives, you bastards. I think that's right?
I think so.
I
I
do
think so. I
too.
think that's what you want on there.
Either that or I didn't really like you that much. I
Yeah,
think
right.
that's pretty good
And you
too.
don't even put your name. You just put I changed lives.
I
You know,
love
it's
it.
funny. It's like it's such a strange concept to me because my grandma did that too. Like she bought
yeah.
a plot and everything, and that's so. It's such a
my
bizarre-
mother gave us funeral plots, 2 each for Christmas one year. And she was right because you have got to prepare because she'd had deaths too early of people. And that's another thing you have to scramble for. So
Right.
she gave us these plots. Well, I'm happily single. I've been married twice. I think if I had been born literally when you were, I would have never gotten married because back then it's what you did.
Yeah, it was a little bit more of a standard. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I would have never gotten married. But I said to my funeral director, who I'm friends with, because like we went to high school together, I said, Holly, can I have both of my plots and use them both for me? And she's like, yeah, well, just lie to the guy at the graveyard. We say, put in the big stone over both of them.
Right.
And then it'll just be you. And then get this. I go, well, can I bury my dog's ashes with me? Because, I got 3 little rescue dogs. They're so cute. Maybe they'll outlive me, but who knows? And she goes, we're not allowed to bury the ashes with you. But she goes, and she winks. She goes, you could give me a box of things to bury with you. So I'm going to be in a grave in Connecticut with my 3 damn dogs' ashes, diagonal. I'm going to take up both spots.
Right. Take up the whole thing. That's funny. That's really funny.
I love that your grandma did that too.
She was.
You got to do it.
She was on top of it. She did it over a decade ago. She did it. And she definitely got it for a reasonable price. I guess it's just such a bizarre concept.
No, but it's absolutely true because you lock in the price. Now I'm crazy. A good Jew.
But it's funny? It's literally, it's true. That is what my whole family is doing. You know?
I remember years ago, they were like, pay for your funeral early, it locks it in. I'm like, yeah. And the funeral director did say to me, she goes, well, don't plan out everything like readings and stuff because people do want to come and say what they want.
Sure.
And I'm like, only if they roast me. Now that would be fun. That would be really good. So we might have that in the works. That'll be funny. My final roast.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm invincible, so I'll never die. So that's the thing. I won't be planning. So this has been such a joy, and I have to be honest with you. When you reached out to me, and this is like sincerely, totally frank. It's like when you reached out to me, I was like, oh, I didn't even think to reach out to you because I was just like, I don't think she's gonna say yes. You know what I mean?
It's cute,
but it's funny.
It would be cute. I love it.
So I really do appreciate you being here, and this has been such a joy. And we started the podcast by asking you who was your I want to be like you when you were a kid, and we want to conclude the podcast by asking you who is your I want to be like you now.
Wow. Who do I say I want to be like?
And it could be anyone. It doesn't have to be a celebrity. It could be someone in your life.
I want to be the woman who goes to bingo on Mondays and then reads and then pets the dog and answers the email, and that's enough.
Yeah.
And who isn't chasing beautiful, hot, gay Broadway men, who isn't finding ego hits from being asked to do things. Sure. So I want to work all that stuff out of me. Yeah. I just want to be the one who's at peaceful with less, because I have less every year, which is great. I do less, I run around less, I have less activity. I'm like, oh, I remember my mother, maybe it's her, towards the end of her life, the last like 10 years, she'd go bingo on Monday, she'd go dinner one day, and she'd be like, that's enough. Right. I want to be the person who's just, that's enough. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good gravestone thing. That's enough.
That's enough.
Damn.
Lisa Lampanelli, that's enough.
That's all, folks. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. And go see the People Versus Lenny Bruce. You guys start previews May 7th, and you're running into June.
Yeah,
so,
end of June.
So go see it. It's at Theater Row, and go to @Lenny Bruce Play to buy tickets.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes is produced by Elbi and Angelina Cespedes. Special thanks to Christian Cespedes, Ina Cespedes, Vincenzo Salvatore Cakes, and of course, Lisa Lampanelli.